couple more minutes, it doesn't, hang on, 5 more minutes to get your beer. Like you're 9:55. Okay. All righty.
Okay, now we're recording because I didn't have my mic turned on. So hopefully all's good. So you're Tommy, and you're from the East Coast,
That's right. Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. Whoa,
Yeah.
right.
Not that exciting.
What it would be like to live in New York. I mean, I've been a couple of times, uh, and albeit it was great, you know, doing some shopping and sightseeing with my daughter. I couldn't
About
wait
it,
to
right?
leave, to be fair.
Right. That's it. It's the shopping and then the checking the sites and then you're out of there. But when you had to be here the whole time, ugh, too
Yeah.
noisy and there's no rest anywhere. You have to find. I mean, you can find some calm anywhere, but like there's never a point where it's quiet ever. I got a highway here, 2 in the morning, the cars are going by, so you really need
Yeah,
some
and
noise
I
there.
guess, yeah, living in anywhere remotely suburbia, then the sun is always blocked out. And of course, in Manhattan, places like that, then you'd never see the sun if you lived, unless you live on the top floor of a building, you'd never see the sun in that godforsaken place.
Yeah, it's not great. I'd prefer somewhere else, but this is what it is, man.
Yeah.
But I do
So
want
why don't you go somewhere else? Why are you gonna waste your
well,
life away in a place like that?
that's the first thing, but it, we have talked about moving me and my girlfriend to like Santa Fe. It's a little more laid back out there in New Mexico, but I don't know. We'll see. Eh, it a lot of things have to line up, work things and everything. So, but I
Well,
could, I could just get up and go, but
yeah, you could, and things have a habit of working out.
I was just gonna
But
say that you kind of jump and the net appears.
yeah, like I say in my videos, I mean, we can hold ourselves back forever. And invariably, that's what most people do. And they'll, get to 65 years old, well, or maybe 55 years old, 50 years old, 45 years old. And they go, oh, it's too late now. I should have done that, much younger. But
Right.
it's never too late. And I'm pretty sure whatever you do, you'll find a similar sort of thing to be able to do in any state of America. And
And you also have to be in like the right like in state of mind because that old phrase, no matter where you go, there you are. So you can go somewhere if you're not, in your right headspace and you're not okay, then you're just going to take that with you to that nice place and you'll find some kind of negative about it. So, but I am in the right headspace for it, just haven't done it. But um, yeah, I do. Let me start though. Let me get right going because I do want to thank you for doing the interview with me. And I wanted to quickly talk about the book. I have
yeah,
it there. See it, but
yeah, I
I
can
was
see it
thinking,
for sure.
here it is, man. I went on a little, I don't know, like a hideaway and really like dove into this. And I didn't even completely finish it, but it's so dense. I wanted to compare. You were talking in a video about maps of meaning, the
Yeah,
Jordan Peterson, and I started thinking there's kind of parallels with this book. That one was his first book, which people kind of didn't find out about till after he became popular. Then they went back and got it,
yeah,
and they were expecting probably something like the newer book.
yeah.
It is
12
not that.
rules for life, but it isn't. It is vastly deep and complex.
Very complex, very big, and you can't wrap your head around a lot of this stuff if you just think, oh, I like the Jordan Peterson from YouTube. Well, that book you're going to have to do a lot of deep work on.
Yeah,
Obviously, the size is the same. Yours is thick, his is thick, and it's both deep. Both of them are deep. But here's the thing I noticed with yours when I dove through his, I gave up on it though. I just didn't feel like doing the mental gymnastics to figure out half of the
yeah,
stuff. But this is very deep, and I don't want people to get turned off like, oh no, but it's accessible. Like you
yes,
can read the deepest thing in here and you can understand it. And the simple things are deep. So
yeah,
the simplest thing you read in there, you go, you can kind of meditate on it, which I did a lot with. I would take a word or one of these little areas like this where you have just a little bit, and I would sit
yeah,
on that for like a day, going, and then putting the notes down and figuring out. what that meant to me, what it meant to the guy writing it at the time. And I think you did a great job at making it like really accessible. So I know if people see it and they just see a big book, and I know a lot of people will see a big book and think big book, it's going to be some hard to read thing, and that ain't true. It's just a lot of words. That's all that is.
Yeah,
It's not.
and it's not the sort of book where you can't pick it up and read just like one paragraph, like you've
Yep.
just said there, because there's 300 subheadings, but some of them are just this long. They're powerful subheadings, and you can contemplate, like you just said, on that for a day or a week or whatever. And I think the largest chapter is about 30 pages. So there's a great deal in that book, but you could just treat it like a spiritual encyclopedia, because you can just turn to Plato, you can turn to Descartes, you could turn to Jung, you could turn to the Tao Te Ching. There's so many facets that you can look into individually. So, I mean, of course, all those subjects, they were core to my spiritual path, let's just say, and very, very important. And so, as I go through a certain lineage in that book, then I introduce people like Descartes or Plato, with Plato's allegory of the cave, very, very powerful, and the Dark Night of the Soul. St. John of the Cross, and many more. And so, as I'm going through and I'm explaining how I'm feeling and what's happening in my world, I go, "Oh, look, read this." Because these people or this person was speaking about it sometimes hundreds or thousands of years ago. You read that and then apply it to what I am saying and any experience you have had. Because, the whole book was kind of like, well, compare my experience to your experience. What does the things I say mean to you? Because I'm always saying in my videos, don't just be listening about my world. It's not about my world. It's about an idea of a world, whatever your world is. You listen to what I say and think, "Oh, yeah, I had one of those experiences, or I've had loads of those experiences," and all this different sort of thing. And so, I mean, there's been 73 books purchased now, and that's not a bad number, Tommy, considering that I've only got averagely 300 views on any of my videos, albeit there is 1,350 subscribers. But subscribers don't really count, because some people will subscribe and never come back. But 70 books and 10 reviews, 9 of them 5-star. And so anybody that's watching this video now and has bought the book and made your way through it to some degree, consider leaving a review, because that is very useful for the Amazon analog. And the more positive information, obviously, the better the book will fare up.
One thing I did want to say about the book too, because when people see it, like it's not like the complexity of it is only in the topics. Like you might read a topic and people will be like, they might read the header and be like, "Oh, I'm not going to read that." But it really is accessible. And for the people who say, "Oh, well, you know what? I'll just watch his videos." What is he going to say? He's got thousands of hundreds and hundreds of videos. I'll just watch them. I don't need the book. You do though, because I've watched all of them. And 99% of this stuff in here, you're not really touching on in that. You're touching on the broader topics of that, but you're not diving deep into all that. So you're getting all new content. If you like the content, you like all those videos, then this is like an extra, all this bonus stuff here, which is your life, basically.
Yes,
You're just
most
talking
certainly.
what's happening today.
So what chapter are you actually on now?
I got up to, let's see here. Because what I did was I holed away, not just to read this, but I am up to 23, all is one. That's what I'm going to kick off at. But I skimmed some of it, but I want to go back to it when I have time to. And what I want to do is, in future conversations, I want to tackle parts of this book in depth. I have notes that I've been making that I want to do. But the first one, I wanted to touch on some other stuff. But I got up to 22, and it took me a while because, like I said, it's dense. But I'm telling you, it's so light and it flows. And the writing for someone you never wrote, it's underrated for someone who could just pick up and start writing. I know once you said, I think with Marcel in a conversation a while ago, you mentioned how the stuff just once you sat down, you didn't know what to write. You're like, I'm not a writer. And once you sat down, the words came. Like any writer, that's what happens.
Yes.
And the stuff flows good. I'm not saying I'm not knocking you, but I'm going in expecting, okay, is this going to be? This guy's a video guy. He's not a writer. And I was like,
Not a
okay,
writer.
not a
Yeah,
writer.
you know,
Maybe this guy's a
well, yeah, I very much appreciate that. And you see, the whole book took me 8 months working every day for about 4 or 5 hours a day, and meticulously going over and over and over. I must have read it 100 times, because when you are in the thick of it, it's difficult to see the wood from the trees. So you have to leave chapters and then go back to them a month or two after, and then you have to read the whole thing through fresh, and then you say to yourself, uh, that's not as clear as I would like it to be. I need this to be clear. It's very esoteric and deep subject matter, but like you say, it needs to be very accessible. Otherwise, people just glaze over, they'll get bored of it, they'll think it isn't accessible to them, when all this stuff is accessible to everybody, because I show the people in the book how I've done all these things, via meditation and via psychedelic experiences and my spiritual practice and all these sort of things. When you are in this realm, then you have spontaneous spiritual experiences, because you can't meditate for like I have done for 15 years, let's say an hour at least every single day, without getting into the realm. And then, of course, by the time you're on the psychedelic or entheogen path, well, it all shit lets loose then. And so yeah, I wrote it in basic language, prose, and I was absolutely categorically sure. And I remember when I was writing it, I kept hearing Jordan Peterson in my mind, how
writer.
he mentioned that he wrote every single line in Maps of Meaning at least 50 times. And so I didn't go that far, but I most certainly made lots of amendments along the way until I was entirely happy with it. And then when I sent it to print and I got it back, well, I went through proofing it, and I found only about 5 spelling mistakes or grammatical errors. And in 250,000 words, that is some going. And I did my own editing. I never hired a company to do that because I want too much money. I just self-published, and I got this company called Amazon Publishing, but they're nothing to do with Amazon. They just vet your material to publish on Amazon, and then they, go through the procedure. But they were a complete pain in the ass from the beginning to the end, complete amateurs. And so, good God, what they did is they started out by doing the editing, and they sent me about 10 pages of the editing, and they were editing it in American. And I went, I told you I'm British. I want it in British language. And now you're doing all the spelling in American. I'm like, please, guys, just leave the fucking manuscript alone. Just fucking print it, please. And, for about 6 solid weeks, it was a thorn in my side dealing with that company. I'll never deal with them again. I'll go somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, then people say, okay, well, writing the book is the easiest thing. Selling it is the hardest, because you have to work exceptionally hard.
Yeah.
You've got to write or get your book on all different sorts of publishing sites. You have to have a social media or vast amount of contacts, which you got to hound day and night. I don't do any of that. I just say to my viewers, I say, look, I've got this fucking book. And if you like my fucking videos, then just buy the fucking book. You know, I can't be any more plain than that. But you're the first. I tell you what, there's only one person that finished the book, to my knowledge, and I think they pretty well raced through it, looking for what they wanted to find. You know, because to read that book would take you seriously. It will take you at least a month if you're going to be contemplating things, if you're going to be thinking about stuff. Otherwise, you've got 250,000 words, and it's gone in one ear and out the next. So you've done the right thing, and if you do come back to me and start to talk about the book, then you'll be the first out of many people who have promised to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, what I do is I have some notes that I wanted to do and tackle like a chapter, like
Yeah,
one thing be about a certain chapter. I like 14 the best. 19's good. I like the one with the meditation because that's something I kind of know a lot about. So I was wanted to hear your viewpoint on it, but this is such a good book. I was not expecting. That's not a knock on you, like I said, because it's like, well, you're not a writer, you're a YouTube
yeah,
guy. But I was like, this was pretty damn good writing. Pretty damn good writing for someone who just, because writing, like, it's not like they say, oh, anybody can act, anybody can do stand-up comedy. You can, but it's going to be not as great as someone who knows what they're doing. But
yeah.
this, you look like you know what you're doing. I'm pretty impressed. So I had to say that. I was always thinking, have you ever seen the video with Jordan Peterson and Sam Harris where they were live on stage
Yep,
together?
yep,
And it was like a great one where it was like they had half the crowd on one side, the other half was rooting for the other guy. I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, "You would if you were in the middle of that, thrown into the middle, because you can hold." I was
yep.
thinking, Aaron Berry can hold his own with those people who can, because that's one thing I don't know how you could do. You can turn on that camera and you can go 45 minutes and there ain't a drop in the bucket. It just boom, boom, boom. And I was thinking, man, if you were in that conversation, whoa,
Well,
that would have been a fun one.
well, I
That would
would
have been
very
fun.
much love the opportunity to address many subjects with Jordan Peterson. Um, I'm not that much of a fan of Sam Harris.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and I don't rate him to be honest as the deep thinker that most people have him down for. And my greatest issue with him now is that he was one of the greatest advocates for COVID.
Right.
I don't know what went wrong with his mind, but he went full into it, man. He
I was
was
going to say that. That was his one thing. Yeah.
yeah. And the other thing is he talks about psychedelic experiences. He's only got one story. He's only ever had one small or medium dose on mushrooms. He's had nothing else. Where Jordan Peterson, this was about a year or two ago, he had 7 grams of mushrooms. So, and I'm assuming they are cubensis, but they are high doses of mushroom, and he's had 3. And on one occasion, he was speaking to Richard Dawkins, and he told Dawkins that on one of his trips, he went down into the molecular structure of his own body, and that really pissed Dawkins off. Dawkins went, "Wait, wait, wait! Are you telling me that you thought you could see the molecular structure of your body?" And you know what an ass Dawkins is. And Peterson went, "Yes, that's what I'm telling you." You know, these people. I had one comment on this video I put up today in relation to my latest trip. And evidently, it came from a Christian, because only Christians could dismiss this spiritual realm and the power of psychedelics. And I said to him, I said, look, they are called entheogens in the spiritual realm, and they've been called entheogen, which means God within, the Greek word, and they've been called that for a very, very long time for a very good reason, because when you take those, you do actually have spiritual experiences. But this dude, "Oh, you can't have a spiritual experience taking things, this, that, and the other." Well, it's just bitterness being projected from idiots, um, and yeah, many people would they do very well to engage a whole lot more in entheogens. And you see more and more people are. Um, because if they are intellectual this day and age, Tommy, then they know that there is a great deficit or a great void of their knowledge of the world today if they haven't took psychedelics, because it's so apparent now that if you haven't engaged in them, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about as far as being a human being goes.
Why are they so dismissive, you think?
Because they
Without
are
even giving
jealous.
it any thought. They're like, no,
Yeah, they're
they don't.
jealous, they're afraid, because it's something that they could never do, and so, of course, they want to kill it. Um, and, of course, the whole, religious thing with Christians, they want to kill anything which isn't in the Bible. So they won't consider a single thing. But that's,
It
part of.
reminds me of that title here you had, that page. I love this title of one of these chapters. It reminded me, here it is, how to kill, exclamation point, erase, eradicate. I love that choice and how you did it with the exclamation points. How to kill, erase, eradicate negative thought forms, but you put the exclamations after each one. That
Yeah.
was a that was a good touch there. Yeah, I don't know. I know you. I like also another thing. I like putting the price at 626.66. That wasn't lost on me. That was good. I like that. That was good. Right away, I was like, he had to have known. There's no way that ended up like that. And it was almost the page count was almost that. Like you were close. If you did a
Yeah,
little more,
yeah, yeah.
you were
670. If I'd have thought about, well, you see, I could have never known. I didn't know what the page count was until
right.
the book came back from the publisher. But if I could have manipulated that, you see, I thought, well, look, Christians are going to be drawn to the title, and so if they, having read the blurb, are still willing to go ahead, considering there's all these demons, within these pages, if they're still willing to go ahead, well, the price will get them. Because they'll most certainly know that the devil is in there somewhere.
Right. If that ended up at 666, they would have thought you did it intentionally, though, probably. Right. They would have said,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's doing this to like really piss us off." But yeah, they really get your goat. I could tell you get really fired up when you talk about them, and they
Oh,
get fired up when they see when you talk about that. They get fired up when you talk
yeah.
about that stuff.
Simply because, Tommy, from watching lots of my videos, um, these Christian motherfuckers, particularly Catholics, have been a scourge of humanity ever since the conception of Christ. And they have murdered, they have burnt such valuable information all over the world. Those motherfuckers are responsible for setting back human consciousness thousands of years. And I hate them with a fucking vengeance.
And they'll say,
It's their minuscule consciousness, but not only are they a minuscule consciousness, that they are so haughty, putting themselves on a pedestal over everybody else. My God, they're the devil. They are literally the devil.
"Did you ever see a documentary by Bill Maher called Religulous?" It was
Brief me a
about
little bit. It sounds familiar. It sounds
yeah
really,
yeah
really
he
good.
went. You have to look that up. It's pretty funny. Religulous, like ridiculous, religious, and it
Yeah,
was pretty good. You'll have to check that out. He
I'll
kind
just
of
write this
skewers
down
that.
now.
He goes to a lot of like these churches or these people and interview these people, and he kind of laces into them. It's pretty funny. Yeah,
Yeah, because at the end of the day, every single line of verse from those books is plagiarized, and all the silly stories of the birth of Christ and this that, and the other. It's all astronomy. Oh my God! And it goes back to the time of Atlantis and everything. But these idiots, they've been so brainwashed into never reading anything else except those books. It's the biggest propaganda that's ever been perpetrated on the world. And anyone that's fallen into it and fell foul of it, well, more fool them. That's all I can say, because they will never ever get to the promised land, because the promised land is in here.
Do you have any interest in the Jordan Peterson book, "We Who Wrestle with God"? That comes out later this year. I'm not sure about the content, what it's about yet. I haven't dove into it, but is that on your radar? His
Oh
new book?
yeah, yeah. Because uh, I mean, obviously, he's wrestling with God because he's always
Right.
been wrestling with God, and uh, I've got through, let's say, 80% of Maps of Meaning. I skipped a
Wow.
fair bit of the neuroscience, which I just wasn't interested in, all the super duper technical crap. But I got through the bits which were spiritual, philosophical, and um, b- premised around Christianity, because, of course, it's been a very powerful part of his life for a long time. And he has had spiritual experiences, you know. He has had like the samadhi, you know, he spoke about that on occasions. And sometimes you see him when he's reciting it, he burst into tears because the experience was so powerful. So he's took the psychedelics, he's had spiritual experiences. He's a very, very deep and profound thinker, and he's just trying to work stuff out.
Right.
Um, but I was wondering whether he had read any Blavatsky or Rudolf Steiner or people like that, because he would most certainly benefit from reading those people. And
He was also on Rogan this week, a new episode. Did you catch any
oh,
of it?
really? No, I didn't.
Yeah, he's on. He was on a couple of days ago. It's like a 3 hour one, so I have to settle in and listen to that one. That's probably great. Um, I'm sure
Yeah,
he's
it'd be
going to touch.
interesting what new subject matter he's talking to or about.
Yeah, that's always the Rogan conversations are always good because Rogan will let you, he just lets you say what you have to say, whatever side you're on, whatever viewpoint you have, and he gives a good conversation.
Uh,
God bless you.
yeah, because he's an open-minded guy, and you know
Yeah,
he wants to learn.
right,
And then, you know, he doesn't let people get away with bullshit and
right.
inconsistencies,
He
because he
calls
doesn't.
him out. He calls Peterson out sometimes too. He'll say, "Well, what do you mean by that?" He goes, "That doesn't make any sense," and he'll make him explain it more. You don't want somebody who's going to come in and you're just going to sugarcoat the interview, and then you're not really getting a conversation.
Yes, indeed.
He pushes back.
Yeah.
He definitely
And
pushes.
so I'm reading Blavatsky, and Blavatsky, she wrote two books, and they're both twin volumes, and they both consist of about 1,300 or 1,500 words, so 3,000 pages. Sorry, pages, 3,000 pages collectively, which is that thick. And so they're my task, you know, over however long it takes, when I'm, you know, spending time in the churchyard, and before I go to sleep at night and everything like that, because she runs through global history of spirituality, um, religion, religious philosophy, and all this different sorts of stuff. And you know, she's an absolutely fascinating woman, because she was deemed to have channeled the vast majority of the information. And when you look at the vastness of what she was writing, she couldn't have read all about this stuff and memorized it or copied it all down, because she would have needed thousands of books over many, many years. But apparently, she just sat at her desk for 12, 15, 18 hours at a time, writing down with a ink quill, you know, and you know, channeling from you know, bygone ascended masters. And when you enter the spiritual realm, then there's no doubt that this goes on. And you know, I'm always saying, even at my level, I'm always saying, look, I'm channeling this stuff, people. You know, because I don't know what I'm going to be saying from one word to the next. I don't know what tangent I'm going to go off, and I've got no idea.
It
And
sounds like you do know. That's the great thing about you watching. You go, "Oh, this sounds like it's just flowing out of you. It's a gift."
well, yeah, I mean, obviously, look, the information, 90% of it is within me, because I have read thousands of books. I have had a lot of experience, and I do have, you know, a very, very good memory. But even when I'm saying, what I'm saying in my videos, very often I'll say, I didn't know that. I just said that at this moment in time. So that's a revelation to me. So what the fuck? Did my brain just super speedily calculate this and come up with that? Or, was it channeled? Nobody knows where thoughts come from. This is the thing, Tommy. And so this is why the greatest brains on the planet never lay claim to anything that they do or say. Because, like Michelangelo, when people said, how do you do that? How do you carve those fantastic figures? And he says, I just chip off the excess because the figure is already in there. So something is channeling and showing him, because look, these people, they can't afford to make a slightest mistake, because if they
Right.
do, the whole thing's ruined. But when you look at these figures, they're absolutely perfect. And so they never on one occasion slipped with the hammer and took off too much. It just never happened. And so,
I wonder, like they probably take really long to do them. So maybe you chip a couple, 10 minutes, you have a beer, you go back to it. It's probably a long process. But it's impressive what you do with the videos though. So let me unpack this a bit. When you turn it on, you just have a vague idea of what you're going to talk about, and then you have this Rolodex of information from books and life experiences, and somehow you're able to funnel that right out into the topic you're talking about without even any kind of it doesn't even look like you're even thinking for a second of what to say next. It's
I'm
wow,
not. I'm not thinking.
wow,
It is.
wow.
Well, some sort of channeling, whether it's coming from another place or whether it's coming from my higher state of consciousness, because consciousness is vast, and of course, when you've lived a long life, all the things that you've experienced, all the books that you've read, it is said that every single bit of information that you've ever experienced is stored up in the unconscious. And I believe that to be so, because even today, neuro surgeons can. Well, no, neuroscientists, they will probe the brain when the neuro surgeon has removed the cranium. Um, and so, when certain parts of the brain have been probed, their memories come back of many, many years, crystal clear, and they come back in visions, as well as thoughts. And so it's all stored in there. And this is the whole premise of Jung and Freud, with their hypothesis that is the vast amount of information in the unconscious. But I will go even further than that, and I will go along the lines of Edgar Casey or Rupert Sheldrake. Now, Edgar Casey, reckon he was, channeling or tapping into the Akashic records, and Rupert Sheldrake speaks about morphic resonance, about the information fields around the world, and we know there are information fields around the world because we have one which nobody's going to deny at this moment in time: Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is an information field all around the world, permeating everything. Well, the Akashic Records was here thousands of years before that, and many people knew about it. You see, and so now with the advent of the internet, we can get our heads around information being in the air. But let's say, prior to the internet, nobody would ever imagine that. Or let's say prior to Marconi, who created radio. Nobody would have believed that information's in the air. How? Where? But it is.
Right. I tell you, you would have fit good back in the days of like Aristotle when they would do the walking and talking in the garden for like hours on end. I think you were born in the wrong era. Back in those days, Aristotle, and they would have the gardens, Epicurus, and just walk all day and talk and sit and go through all these things and just learn. They said the whole life was just learning. I thought
Yes.
that whole life, and that's kind of what we do though. We always get sidetracked by other things, but which brings me to something. One of your very early videos, you said when you were talking with Marcel, I wrote the 4 things down. You said, here's the things I put in high esteem for me: 1, keeping the body in shape; 2, learning how to eat; 3, meditation; and 4, gathering knowledge. So those 4 things, that you mentioned in that video that struck me because I was thinking, that's kind of like, and then I see the way you carry yourself. I'm thinking this is a very Epicurean thing. And then you're cooking, you're putting the cooking videos on, and there's such a joy coming from just the cooking, where most people, they grab something, put it in the microwave, they wolf it down while they're looking at the phone, and there's no enjoyment from it. They shove the food down, their digestion's probably terrible from that.
Yeah.
But you enjoy the whole process of that. And then looking at your 4 pillars here, keep the body in shape, learning how to eat, not just eating, learning how to eat, meditation, and gathering knowledge. That's very Epicurean and I thought that was interesting because that's kind of the way I look at life, should be the Epicurean lifestyle. I've never understood why people don't think, oh, that's not for me, because what's not for you? It's getting rid of like negative things, trying to keep positivity, cultivating your mind, being positive, eating well, and finding joy in eating, making it an event. You do that on the cooking blog. You ever think about that you're kind of like an Epicurean? Or you never thought?
Well, yeah. I mean, my life is given to hedonism. It is all about the pursuit of happiness. But lots of the pursuit of happiness goes through pain because it has to be that. So, with what I do in the gym and have done all of my life, I started working out when I was 15. So, I've got 45 years where I've been putting my body under duress, and I always get the greatest of satisfaction from that level of suffering because it just feels so good. And I remember many years ago when I was training karate, we had something which was called the Kyokushin 5000, and it was 1,000 press-ups, 1,000 kicks above your head, 1,000 strong punches, 1,000 squat thrusts, and 1,000 sit-ups. And I completed the whole thing in an hour and 20 minutes, 22 minutes before even the next person came in, and they were all black belts and very, very fit and everything. I was in another dimension because I loved it. It was never a stress to me. It was never like, oh, I've got to do this. No, I fucking loved doing that. And I'd push myself to exhaustion every single time I trained, because when you get to that level of exhaustion, that's when you enter into the kingdom of God. And I write about this in the book, you might remember.
So the pain to you, it's not really, you don't look at it as pain.
No,
it's more like a means to an end or something.
Well, it's part of the pleasure. It's part of the pleasure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like sex for women, I suppose. It's a fine line between pain and pleasure. And if it doesn't hurt, it's no good. Like it says in one of those 60s soul pop songs. It hurts so good, hurts so good. Yeah, and so I mean, we have to do this. We have to force ourselves on a daily basis. And what's always happened with me whenever I've been doing any of this stuff, when the pain starts to kick in, then there's some sort of spiritual entity which goes, this is what we're talking about. And it's kind of like, come on, more, that's right. And it's kind of like, it really is the true essence of a warrior, because like the movie 300, they all knew that there was no such thing as pain. It was all pleasure. Because anybody that considered it was pain just wouldn't be there in the end,
Right. I like that approach to that. And even like when you're doing, like we're talking about the cooking, when you do the cooking videos, there was one I was watching recently where you were doing with St. George mushrooms, but you're playing the music, you got the bluegrass going, you're having a ball, very lighthearted the way you're talking, because maybe you could have been in a bad mood that day, but you wouldn't have known, because whatever you were doing, that chopping up of the carrots, everything.
I don't have bad moods, by the way.
What's that?
I don't have bad moods, by the way.
There you go. So like you left the room at one point to switch the music back on because it had cut off, and the sync was going at the time. And I thought, all right, most people are probably skipping this, wait until they see you come back in. And then when you left, it got quiet, and then the sound of the sync was so relaxing. And I'm like, well, this is calming. And I took that moment to, like, while I was watching you do that and, do the chopping and do the talking, to just kind of center again. And I wonder if people do that, like they just probably skip it. But I'm thinking that moment I felt so like relaxed. I'm like, maybe I don't want him to come back in for a little bit because the sound of the sink going
The
was very
running
soothing.
water.
The running water was going, and I'm like, okay. And I said, kind of like in that moment, I just kind of said, well, I'm going to use this. And I actually kind of fell into a nice thing where I'm like, oh, he's back. Darn, that was feeling good. But you've done that before where you've given me a vibe in terms of that happiness feel or the content or the tranquility. You were doing one video where you were, it was, I think, the very narrow line into consciousness, cosmic consciousness. You were sitting out on a bench and you stopped, you paused. And I mentioned it in the comments that you just stopped randomly and you just started looking around, looking at the sky. You breathed in, you took a drink of the beer, and then you must have had a thought because you said, you know what, this is it right here. You got the sunlight, you got a nice beer, you got some crisps and some conversation, and you look like you knew in that moment how great that is. And
It
I
doesn't get
said,
no
oh my
better.
God, you said that, and I was thinking that, and I said, oh my God, right at that moment when you pause, there's that pause moment, and you just appreciate it. You're actually in the moment appreciating just the fact that you're sitting there and the sun's on you and you're just talking, you have a nice beer. Most people do that every day. They have even more than that, and they don't even realize it. They're skipping right past that vibe. And you felt it. And I commented, I was like, man, I felt that too. Like, just sometimes you just go, oh, this is great. I got a beer, I got crisp, I'm talking. I mean, just that moment, like you don't realize, like that happens a lot, but to be in the moment to realize it and stop and pause, because you did stop and you paused on it. And you
Yeah.
mentioned note of it. I was like, well, this guy's all right. This guy's all right by me. He's feeling it in the moment and he made note of it instead of just, skipping past it.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
cool.
the whole thing, the power of now, being present and not being ashamed or embarrassed or um, I don't know any other adjective that you could possibly think that people are too agitated and they just got to be doing something and it wouldn't do. You see, this is one of the bones of contention I have with people today, Tommy, is that when we watch their videos, uh, some videos they cut every single second, and it's like, what
Oh yeah.
the fuck
Oh,
is wrong with them? What are they doing that they are so scared of revealing? Did they get the wrong word? Did they stutter? Was there 1 second emptiness within their speech whereby they've got to fill it and they've got to close that
yeah.
gap? What are they terrified of? They're terrified of themselves. They're terrified of self realization. Just being, just being me.
Yeah, just that silence is okay. People are scared of that side. They don't want that gap. I don't know if they think it reflects on them in a bad way. Like, I don't know what they're thinking, but I've seen those videos. It's most of the videos. It's
Yeah.
cut here, cut. You'll see a cut, and then or, I mean, and you don't do that. I think another thing I mentioned way back that you like. The thing I like about it is you just hit it, you record it, you stop it, you upload it, it's done. No thinking to it. No, you're not trying to get this right thing done and make sure they see you in a certain light. It's like, look, if they're going to either like you, they don't like you, tripping up on a word or saying something you don't think they'll approve of, that's not in your repertoire, and it's in everybody's repertoire. That's all they care about. Well, what are they going to think if I leave that in there? Or if I say this? Well, that's you. That's what you said. Leave it in there. What are you
Y- y-
scared of?
Yeah. Well, they were scared of being unfriended or defriended. They were scared of losing a subscriber. They were
That's
scared of
okay.
getting a comment. They are scared of other people's opinions. And I'm always saying, well, look, if you are afraid of other people's opinions, you are fucked because
Yeah.
just like arseholes, everybody's got one.
Right.
And, if you cannot just turn off the bullshit, then you are a prisoner. And that's where most people are. They are prisoners. And, my policy is, with anybody that's got bone of contention with me, I'll listen and I'll engage with them until it gets silly. When it gets silly, I go, you know, you're almost stepping over the line here, because as soon as you start to go ad hominem, soon as it's a personal attack, I don't need your
Right.
personal attack. I don't need your therapy. I don't need your motherly advice. What are you trying to say? If you've got something to say about the content, if you haven't, go away. And so then it's just kind of, I don't waste my time with them these days, Tommy. I'm just, okay, bye, bye, bye. And these days, I'll see a comment, I'll know where they're going because I've been doing this 14 years. I just delete them. I just prevent them from ever,
You don't
you
even
know.
read the whole thing. He's just like, nah, that's it. I don't need to read it.
Yeah, that's it. I
You know?
just know where it's going, because many times I've given the benefit of the doubt. I've gone, oh, I can see through. And invariably, what happens is you'll get an icon and a name, which is a dead giveaway. For instance, if it's a Christian, then you're going to get a picture of God in the clouds, or a burning crucifix, or, you know, Jesus walking on water. And you just go, well, you know what's going to happen here. It's just only a matter of time. And then if you got someone with the devil, or someone with, you know, like "fuck you, asshole," you know, hidden in the name somewhere, you know what they're about. And it's funny because I don't know whether it's a conscious thing. I think it's probably unconscious with most people. Unconsciously, they will tell you what they are in their icon. And even though they think they're hiding and they're not revealing who they are, they're revealing who they really are. Not the name, not the face, who they really are. And if you're tuned into it like I am, I can spot them a mile away. And, you know, fortunately, I don't get a lot of it. You know, to be fair, I get very, very few trolls these days. Um, and so I suppose that over the years, you know, there's been a level of conditioning with people that know that they ain't going anywhere. You
Right.
know,
They know what you're going to do to them. You're going to eviscerate them, and then they just, all the, yeah. It's a good way to do it. I do notice you go at them, and it's like you like riling them up, but hey, if this works the way I'm intending, these guys won't come back, and I don't have to deal with this. But they come back though. Next time you're going past the church and you're saying, look at they're going to come out. They're going to come out. They'll be back. They'll be back because I think they just like, and humans like that. Humans like conflict. I notice people would rather. You don't do this. I'm saying generally people will comment on something only when something's negative. They won't say something when someone said something positive. You see it on eBay with, like, if you give feedback, these people will answer somebody when someone gave them a negative. They won't, when someone said something positive for them, they won't be like, oh, thanks, I like that. So people kind of wanna fight. And I think those people are just never going to get enough of you. I think, some of them will run and hide, but then you're going to get the ones that are going to come back again. Maybe they don't know no better, or they're just a glutton for punishment, or they just want to get your goat. But they're entertaining though, right? So
yeah, and you know, when I put up these videos where I'm fucking and cussing, well, they get the greatest amount of hits, they get the greatest amount of comments. And so, like you say, there is a need for the human being for conflict. Now, in Jordan Peterson's Maps of Meaning, the whole book, in actual fact, was written to try to elicit, to convey the unconveyable, which he actually says, because in that book there was a letter he wrote to his dad, and it's about 4 pages long, and it's like, oh, you know, hi dad, yeah, I'm writing this book, and I'm trying to convey this, and it's the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, but I think I'm really onto something. And what he was shaking a stick at is, he thought he found some sort of explanation as to why humans are evil. And you know, discounting whatever nonsense is in the Bible. Um, the allegories, you know, are fine because, you know, Satan and God. Well, we were all Satan and God, you know. But when you've got a God up in the sky and the devil in the earth, and well, we get silly then, you know. But you see, if you look into all of this, you see that it was never depicted in the Bible in any shape or form what Satan looked like, other than the serpent. But now all of a sudden we've got a devil with red skin and horns and a tail and all this. Well, all that came out of books from Dante and Milton. You know, where Paradise Lost and you know, all these sort of things. Um, And so they've polluted the human mind when it was never actually in the Bible. You
Right.
know,
I find that like it was always fascinating me that people did, you know, just always want to, they'd rather make a negative comment than a positive one. I thought, maybe I started thinking maybe it's like, well, it's part of the whole yin yang. Like you can't have, like, if we never had rain, we would not, the planet would never exist. You have to have rain, that comes along. It can't just be daylight all the time. The dark's going to come along. So I always looked at it like maybe it's just, you got to have the jerks because there's nice people because it's got to be that way. I forgot who said this, but someone said once, one of these thinkers, that there's only a certain point of people on the planet that can actually be, you know, thinking of or be peaceful or be positive. And I wish I remembered who said it because it can't be, they can't everyone be peaceful. It can't be 100% of us being
no,
like peaceful. It's just not going to happen, even if we all, because people are people, they're going to be that way. So I always thought maybe this was just the yin and yang, and the planet has to kind of balance itself in every form. But then I thought, no, these people are seeking out, these are the people that are seeking out to pick to be the negative. Like they're corrupted. It's like, you could as easily made a one word positive reaction to something. Instead, you make a 500-word negative reaction to something. It boggles my mind. You can't just put, oh, thank you so much. You'll be
yeah.
like, you know,
And people will watch me for many, many years and they'll never ever comment until I piss them off. And then when I
that's
piss them
what I'm
off,
saying.
then they can write fucking bookloads. And I go, oh, that's interesting. How long have you been watching my videos? Sounds like you've been watching them for quite a while, and yet I've never heard from you. Why is that? And now your cage has been rattled and your fucking ego is out of sorts. And so your ego's calling my ego. Isn't that the teapot calling the kettle black? Let's not do this. It's pathetic. It's pathetic from where I'm standing because being psychoanalytical, I see straight through you, bro. And
Right. You're
so,
going to see through.
just don't go there. It's just ridiculous. But then you see, well, because I get that, and because I know that there's loads of these people out there, then I'm jousting and I'm rattling cages because I'm like, well, look, 90% of the people, they won't come forward and they'll never say anything positive about my videos. They just won't. They expect that I would always be doing good stuff. And you know what happens sometimes when I stop giving them what they want and need, that's it. You're not giving me what I need. You know, and I'm like, whoa, it sounds like there's some dependency going on here. And there is. There most certainly is, because my videos are so varied and diverse. Well, if somebody gets one a particular video that strikes a chord with them in their feed, well, they expect to keep getting that. But then when they don't, when they get the polar opposite, they'll get a Providence video, they'll get a cooking book video, they'll get a mushroom video, and all different sorts of things. It's kind of like, no, 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 no. I want that stuff, what you said before,
Right.
because it rang a chord.
Hmm. Interesting, though, because I had a thought on that. Like, they do. Do you think it's like you also have like something that get, because I've looked at comment sections. I don't do it a lot on a lot of channels that I follow or videos in general, but I'll look around at comments because some topics I'm like, oh, I got to dive in here. I got to see what's going on in here in the town square. But and again, it's a lot of negatives, and people, like someone will be talking about food, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm starting my new diet," and of course, there's the people coming in going, that's a little too much salt, like they know any better for this guy's personal thing. So he's have little digs, but those people I notice they're still back in the comments. They keep coming back, but they seem miserable in their comments on these people's channels, but yet there they
Yeah.
are all the time. And I think maybe you have some kind of like animal magnetism where it feels like, because whatever they're getting from the videos and they don't, well, like you said, maybe with the cooking bloke or with the other ones, that's not exactly what they wanted, but they're always coming back, even though you might piss them off because you're not doing it. Here they are waiting like a little puppy waiting for that bone. So you
Yeah.
must have some kind of magnetism or something that attracts these people
Oh, for
to
sure. There
yeah,
is animal magnetism. There
yeah,
is a vibration. There's a spiritual connection. There is some energy that they feed on. They need, and there's a whole bunch of stuff which is amalgamated into one, which is a phenomenon unto itself. Because people, particularly women, that they'll express themselves a little bit more. They say, you know, a lot of the time, I really don't like you. But then sometimes I do like you, and I just don't know what's going on with me. And I'm like, well, you got to look at your shadow because your shadow likes what I'm saying. But you don't like your shadow, so you're denying yourself the pleasures of your shadow. So best, bring your shadow into the light, and then you'll see that you're not as pure as you might think you are. And the people that proclaim to be, oh, I'm love and I'm a kind person. Okay, right then, let's fucking talk about that because everybody that I've ever read that's had anything to say that's been intellectual will always say that evil runs through the heart of every man. So what the fuck is gone on with you then?
That's why I don't like when people push like, "Oh, I'm nice. I would never do that." Let me tell you something. And I'm not speaking for you. I'm speaking for me and just the knowledge of general people. We all got everything in us. Let's just cut the BS. Oh, I would never do that. You don't think you do that. The Menendez brothers never thought they were going to murder their parents. They did that one day. I mean, so there's the good and the evil in everybody. We got all that stuff. That's how, just like how the planet rotates because of the yin and yang. Everything has to be balanced. We have it all. Most people have to keep it balanced. Some with medication, maybe, but you still have to keep it balanced so you don't go over the edge. But it's in there. Let's be honest, it's in there. We see it in your comment section. You'll see people come out and there's some crazy person. Well, there's their jerk off. I bet you they're not going in the line at this, Tesco or something, and they're telling everybody what they're telling you in the comment section. They're going to
Yeah,
put on their best behavior.
yeah,
So anybody who's going to say they're not this, that's another thing. I know I went a little off there, but when these people say, "Oh, I'd never do that," listen, I'm okay with saying that I'll get angry, I'll get this, but I'll also do the other things, and I can be neat, and then I'll be messy, and then because it's all in there. All depends on what's happening in the flow and how I'm feeling that day, and I might be a little this way, I might be a little that way. But I don't like these people, the holier than thou. I'm not like that. I would never do that. And I'm a nice guy. You're not. You are nice, and you're also probably a jerk
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah. And so, if only they just looked at the cosmos, they'll see the cosmos is a paradox. They'll see the cosmos is yin and yang. They'll see that they cannot be love without hate. They cannot be the so-called character of God without the character of devil, because that's what brings things into manifestation. There has to be opposites. And so, in all my videos, I'm showing you, hey, Supercilious here today. I'm going to fuck you up. I am purposely gonna fuck you up. Or actually, no. Let's then I go into this whole dichotomous thing. It's not me, it's not nice guy Aaron. No, it's Supercilious. Supercilious, he lives to fuck you up. And he's got something to say. Go ahead, Supercilious, give it to him. And then Supercilious gives all his stuff. And it's kind of like, lots of people, yeah, give it to him, give it to him, give it to him. Because they fucking need it. They're tired of listening to love and lighters and the liberalists and people that can't even joke these days. Comedy's dead. Because these cancelling motherfuckers have killed it all. And so for someone like me, that there's no holds barred. I'm just saying it, and it's liberating. It really is. And there's very few people really get very upset about it. And when I look at I'll put up a very demeaning video, and I'll make sure I know what the subscriber count is before I put it up. After the video has been up there 2 weeks, there is 20 or 30 more subscribers there. Even on the day, there's more subscribers gained, there's none lost. And so, what are we saying?
I mean, it's funny, like these people. Oh my God, like the cancel thing too. It's like these people too that will cancel like Dave Chappelle for some joke, by the way, which is the key word they miss in a lot of this joke.
Yeah.
They'll go on, Twitter or even, wherever and say the most heinous things about somebody because of who they voted for. But all of a sudden now, this guy can't make a joke about like trans people, which is a joke, but you can go on and start calling someone a racist on their Facebook page. But that's okay. These people are unreal. Like, you want to cancel this guy for that? Well, let's open up your closet and look around a bit because I guarantee you ain't no perfect person.
Yeah. Oh my God. And at this particular moment in time, America is the epitome of the human race.
Oh,
because it does everything for show, it does everything on stage. You know, America is Hollywood, and so you can see the state of the human psyche in the Western world, and it's very, very apparent, very plain to see, and we're obviously heading for a substantial implosion. America is just waiting to implode, and it's only a matter of time. And the recent thing with the Trump attempted assassination, if he had have been assassinated, that would have pulled the rug out from under the feet of half of America. Can you
yep.
imagine what that would have done to the psyche when there was no hope anymore? Because there wouldn't be any hope without Trump.
Wow. Yeah, it would have been. I mean, whoa. I mean, being here in it and and with the internet, we can obviously you can hear what's going on in the minds of Americans thanks to the internet. But like, so you know exactly what I know. But oh my God, I was thinking if that had just went a little bit over the crumbling of America, I can't even like imagine what it would have been like because this was all could have been avoided. This is all this started with political maneuvering and the media blowing things up. I really get irritated with it because no matter what side you're on, it's like the media wants to take like something so benign and they'll turn it into a cancer just to get a click or get a ad revenue, and they don't care what they burn down in the process. They don't care if the Americans are going at each other's throat. They start,
Yeah.
raping and pillaging. It doesn't matter to them. They take their check and they go back up in their fat cat, house on the hill and look down at the wreckage because it doesn't bother them until it does affect them, and that would have happened then. We would have seen if something happened with Trump. It wouldn't have just been the everyday guy or girl or whatever in between like they have these days, but it would have been everybody, and I wouldn't even want to know what
Yeah,
would have
it
happened.
would have been a devastating blow to the psyche of America. But you see, when we look at the whole cancel culture, they want to cancel, everything that is anything. They want to bring everything and everybody down to their bottom rung on the ladder.
And that's
Um,
real quick to chime in. That's they're doing that for so they feel better about themselves,
yeah,
right? To get
yeah,
some.
yeah. But you see how the media is run. Now, it's a very perplexing thing because on the one hand, we may get to thinking that the media, global media, is independent. But when something important comes about, let's just say, like I don't know, the California fires or 9/11 or anything like this, every single TV in America is saying line for line, word for word, exactly the same stuff.
Yep.
We absolutely have to know then there is only one agency behind them all. Because there's no way, if they were independent, there's no way on this earth would they ever be saying the same thing. This stuff
Right.
came from somewhere vastly higher than them, and there was no way on this planet that they could say anything but that.
I've said that a million times. I said, how can people, you take 100 people and they all have the exact same thing, sometimes down to the letter of the word, they have the exact
Even
same
the
thing.
inflection, even the inflection
It's
when
like
they're
they're
reading.
bots. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
And so when we look at that, we get into mysterious places, Tommy, because it really does tell us that hang on, we're either in a simulation, because how would it be possible to control the whole of America? With like when you see these videos with like let's say 70 TVs, all on one screen, and they're all in sync saying exactly the same thing with the inflection in the same places. Well, how could that be coordinated? What sort of power? It's kind of like somebody with the power of striking you down dead in any instant would have that, because nobody dares to deviate from it, and it has to go out exactly as it said. Nobody decides that, hang on, yeah, I mean, okay, I think that's a fair enough transcript, but I'm going to change it because I don't believe this, and it's my fucking company. I'm going to say what I want. No,
Right.
nobody does it. So we're either in a simulation, or we're being ruled by very, very powerful, sinister entities.
Oh,
There's no other way, Tommy. And then when there isn't anything so powerful, there's a more of a liberal feel about it, and people get back under their hypnosis. Oh, the media are independent. Fox News is different to CNN and CBS. They're not. They're
no,
most certainly not.
no. Hell, Fox News even fired Tucker Carlson. They fired their most popular guys. I think the people that own Fox News are liberals too, which is crazy. Then the sons
Yeah,
that
yeah,
aren't the sons, Rupert Murdoch's sons, like they're like gay, and I think they're liberal, and they run. So they're But look, that's why they don't like Rogan. Rogan will say stuff they can't control him. I remember they tried to go after the Spotify CEO and said we want him off of here. People like Neil Young and some of these artists,
yeah.
Joni Mitchell, were like, we're taking our songs off. Like anybody cares? No one's listening to your music anyway or streaming it. But the guy didn't care. He's like, I don't freaking care. This guy's making me $1 billion. I don't freaking care. And it is this interview show. But they don't like Rogan because he's not going to toe some company line. He's going to say what he has to say. Oh, boo, they do not like that. They do not like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And so when we look at it, we're in a very, very perplexing state of affairs because it's exceedingly apparent within the last 20, 30 years that there are no independent parties. There is only the illusion of the independent parties. It's all two wings of the same bird. And it's as plain as day to see it in British and European politics. They're all under the World Economic Forum, the New World Order, the Illuminati, whatever um, angle you want to come at it from, or whatever they're calling themselves in any particular epoch, because it changes all the time. But it's the same beast. It's the same beast that's doing it all. And so the only time we see that there is a modicum of hope is when we've got people like Trump. We've got people like Nigel Farage in Britain, who's a renegade. He's fucking out there. He's the one that was responsible for Britain leaving the European Union with Brexit. He took Britain out of the European Union, out from under the auspices of Brussels, because nobody knew who the leader was. Nobody knew who makes all these fucking rules. It's an invisible Men in Black fucking syndrome. And Britain, praise be that the people are still awoke enough to know that we're not going down that fucking path. We are British. And, that means a lot because it's in our blood. We once owned a third of the fucking world. And, there wasn't an army or a force on the planet that could reckon with the British soldier. And so, we've still got that in our blood to a degree. And I think within 4 years' time, Nigel Farage will take the position because it really is about the people. It really is about Britain, like Trump is about America. Whatever America is, if anybody can pigeonhole what a country is, what a nation is, what a people is, it's very, very difficult to do it in America because there's no indigenous people really. There are a whole bunch of immigrants. Whereas, in Britain, you've got, Anglo-Saxon, you've got Viking blood. And, we're an old nation. But America, I mean, that's why they're so easily fractured because there's no roots. And the people getting more and more stupid every single day, then it's very easy to diminish their culture and all the things they stand for. And that's why the liberalists have got such a fucking handle. But have you noticed people like Peterson, even Elon Musk, they're fighting back. They're
Yeah.
fighting back against this gender changing, against the gender nouns, against the cancel culture, and all that sort of stuff. There are powerful people like Weinstein brothers and Rogan to a degree that they're fighting back against this bullshit.
Yeah. When Elon Musk took over, they used to love this guy. Like liberals would love Elon Musk. They had his cars. He takes over Twitter and doesn't allow people to be banned. Like he brought back a lot of people because they were banning people on the right
Yeah.
Milo and some of, a lot of these people were just axed, and he brought them back, and now he became public enemy number one. Same guy they loved because, hey, wait a minute, you're allowed to say what you want to be able to say now. That's not like, so it's a weird warped thinking they have. It's a weird warped thinking. They like, wait, you're mad at this guy because he's allowing someone to say what only you were allowed to say before.
Yeah.
Now everyone can say something like that, and then he went out after the Trump thing and like put his vote out on a public forum saying that's how I'm going for, which is a big boon. Like for someone, the most powerful social media guy and the richest person in the world says that, that's a pretty big boon. But I
And he's
wonder,
funding him now, isn't he?
what's that?
Musk is funding Trump.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot of moolah for Trump from him. But like, I wonder, like, this witch hunt's been going on for so long. I wonder how would this have changed without the internet, because most of this Trump stuff was fueled all by media, which would not get to the regular person. Like let's just say the kid who did the assassination attempt. Like, would he have cared about Trump if Trump came on the scene in 2003 when there was no like social media? Would he have been so riled up to like, he probably wouldn't have been on his radar. When I was 20 years old, I didn't have Ronald Reagan on my radar. I didn't care. Like these people, these young people that are so like ensconced in this stuff because they get up in the morning, they go right to it, and they see a byline on the side. It'll say, Trump said this, usually taken out of context. They get themselves riled up because the media said this, and then it just goes on all day, all week, all year, all month until 9 years in, they try to take them out. Because I don't think this would have happened without social media. There's been assassination attempts. They're not that common, and they're definitely not common when you're just running for president. When was the last time that happened in any country? I don't even know, but it doesn't happen a lot. But I wonder, without the internet, boy, would this have been? Because I know people didn't like George Bush, and it wasn't this bad because there wasn't constant news about it. You had to seek it out on the 5 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, the newspaper, and who's doing that? Your kids are going reading the newspaper, the front page. So without this, a lot of this will be gone, and the media knows that. They fuel the fire, and I don't understand the end game though. Is it the game just to not have someone named Trump in office? Because it seems in the last 9 years, that's been a focus. This guy's name came up so many times here. He's not even president, and the guy's name kept coming up. So you had people like Jon Stewart, who's a left-wing comedian, going on CNN, and someone brought Trump up. This is about 18 months into Biden's term, and he's like, "Why are you bringing Trump up? He's not. It can't all be him anymore. He's not president anymore." He's like, "It's not his fault what you're talking about. Can we talk about somebody else?" So even some of them were like, "Jesus, we're still talking about this guy."
Yeah.
But there's clicks in Donald Trump too. But why to the point where you want him hated so much? Like they got him out. I know I'm going on a bit because this stuff's just flowing out, but like they got him out of office, and then they still couldn't stop talking about him. Well, you don't like him. Why are you still talking about him?
Yeah, because he's an outlet, he's a focal point, and he's kind of like an egregore in that he embodies a massive amount of energy, and so on the MAGA side, then they think he's some sort of a god going to lead them to the promised land, and on the other side, Trump's going to pave the road to hell, and
Right.
so they're very vicefully engaged with it. America's very emotional at this moment in time, and they're not thinking at all that they are only operating from their emotions. And what one needs to change around the world, but particularly in America, is the power that the media have got. The media have to come under some sort of jurisdiction. They have to be prevented from knee-jerk emotional reactions. That's all they're doing to sell their dying trade. Now, because they are desperate, then anything that creates emotional triggers is going to, get people tuned in. So they need an emotional trigger, someone like Trump, always to be feeding from and directing all their followers. Look what he's doing now. Look what he said now. Yes, he is the evil one, this, that, and the other. And then, you've got Biden. And Biden said in an interview, it's high time we put Trump in the bullseye.
Yeah. That's
Um,
it.
and when he was questioned by that, he said, "Well, I didn't want to use bullseye. I wanted to use the crosshairs. You know, when you look through a telescopic scope, you have the crosshairs. That's even worse." Because
It
that
is.
tells
It is.
kids that he needs to go in the fucking crosshairs. So they'll be thinking like some sort of 1960s Beatle record. They'll be thinking the Beatles are telling us to kill people. And so, deranged people would think that's a subliminal message. They'll think, yeah, they're telling us to kill him. And you know what? They were.
Yeah. And when friends of mine say that, they'll go, "Oh, you should have heard what this person said," and I'm like, "Who said that?" And they'll go, "Oh, someone on one of these Twitter things." I'm like, "Well, yeah, this person's probably mental." Like before the internet, you only knew who you knew. But now with the whole world on the internet, there's going to be some crazy people, and they're going to say crazy stuff. Doesn't mean just because you read it, but that's what a lot of people think. Hey, I read this somewhere. Now, before it was in a book or the newspaper. Now, everybody has a phone. Some lunatic could just type something. Going out into the world so everyone can see it doesn't make it the truth. But when you talked about the knee jerk reactions, they want to get the first news out there. It's true. And the worst part is the stuff is made up that they're saying as well. So they're saying the first thing out of the gate, and a lot of it's not even true. And they know, well, this is going to rile people up. It's not true. And they know, and let's be honest, they know what they're saying is not true. These people aren't stupid. They know, like, okay, we know what he really said. We're going to chop this part out. Or we know what he meant about abortion, but we're going to chop this up. But they don't care. So they want to rile people up. They love getting everyone riled up. I guess, fighting with them, having the public fight for them seems to be a good thing. We saw it during COVID. They had people going mask versus no mask. Um, that was I'm sure it was a hot button thing there, like it was everywhere. They got people now defending at that time mask wearers or defending, attacking people, excuse me, who didn't wear masks like they were murderers. Well, they used actresses. I forgot that actress from Friends. I forgot her name, but she went on saying, "Oh, I had to send my
Jennifer
friend
Aniston.
Aniston. I had to send my friend packing because he wouldn't wear a mask." It's
Yeah.
like good for him. He doesn't have to be friends with you. I don't even like what kind of friend does that send you packing because he didn't wear a mask? Like I, I don't understand. I don't understand it. Like they got people though. They put this out there. They got people to be bots for them to go out and do all their dirty work by going to push these masks. They just sat back. Fauci goes, spews some crap, flips and flops between his words. These people go out and do whatever he says, and then they start attacking fellow citizens because the government tells you something, and if they're going to lead, they're going to drop you like a bad habit one day. You're going to
Yeah.
do
Oh my God. It really is very, very worrying. It is worrisome. Now,
have your own mind.
yeah, I mean, I went out with my daughter, her fiance, and my nephew the other night for a meal, and none of them bought one iota into all that rubbish. And it wasn't because they were influenced by me or anybody else. They just knew that it was bullshit. And all of my family members that I'm in touch with didn't go near that bullshit crap with a barge pole. And I'm like, well, what's the difference between consciousness? For those that knew instantly it was all scaremongering propaganda, and those that just bought it. I mean, these are the questions that I'm interested in, and nobody's really broached it. I want Peterson to broach things like that, but of course he's terrified because he'd be cancelled. If he really wants to get his teeth into something, then forget about the corpus of the Bible. Get involved with the mentality of the world, which he is, on a liberalist, counseling, cancelling culture thing. He is getting involved in that, and he's getting involved with the anti-abortion thing and all the different sorts of things like that. But he needs to address the consciousness of the mentality of people who, just like they did in Nazi Germany, just like they did in the Stalinist Russia, just like they did in any of these countries where you've got a dictator who says, "Hey, this is how it's going to be," and they'll go, "Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 bags full, sir." What the fuck is in here?
Which
What level of consciousness?
let me interrupt you real quick. You said that, and here's the irony: those people are the ones that are calling Trump Hitler, but on their side, they're the ones that are actually listening to somebody who's probably Hitler to them. Because if Fauci says something, they just go along and get out in the public and start, berating people because they're not wearing masks. And we've seen it. They get on people. Why aren't you wearing your mask? You don't see the other people not wearing the masks telling people, why are you wearing that? Why are you wearing that? It's the other way around where they're like, why aren't you wearing that? But they call Trump the Hitler, but it's like they're the guy that was telling you
Yeah,
that
well,
you
it's
listen to.
Biden that is leading America towards a third world war. It's Biden that was responsible for the culling of, I don't know, a few million Americans during this COVID nonsense. And so, if you're going to look at who is God and who is Satan, then surely you'd look at the death count. Just look at the death count. Well, under Biden, the death count is massively higher. Trump is gonna put an end, apparently, to the conflict in Ukraine, and if he had his way, then like in the beginning of the COVID days, he was saying, bleach, and there's some truth in bleach, but you can't drink the fucking stuff, but there is it did kill it. Masks were ineffective, and he took ivermectin and whatever. I don't think he took the vaccines. We never
No.
saw him doing it.
Yeah, he said he was going to do it for the UFC. He had to do it for something, and then something happened. I forgot the story, but something, and he couldn't. He had to go back, and then he ended up doing the ivermectin. But yeah, it was crazy how fanatical they got. They were like bots. They just were like, man, the government loves this. They're like, oh, we got these people. Look at it. Just say this. They're just running around the streets doing our dirty work for us. And it's like, it's sad because, and I still see a bunch of, I don't know what people are still wearing them for. I don't want to get them, but it's like, what are we doing here? You guys never take these off?
Yeah,
You're in the street, in the
yeah,
street.
alone.
What are we doing, people? Come on, take it down. And they're in their photos, they're doing it. You can't take it down for the photo. Like, the virtue signaling, But
Oh my God,
all the
yeah. I
virtue, they
mean,
got to let everybody know. Look how good I am. I have it on in
yeah,
2024.
but
Well, you're not. You're not. People aren't looking at you as good. Only a few circle of those weirdos think you're cool for doing that. Everyone else is like, "What's wrong with you? Take that off."
yeah.
That can't be good for you too to just leave that on.
But in some of the videos that I make, and I'm speaking about the differences with consciousness and the difference with brain functioning, and I made videos about people with no internal monologue or dialogue, and I'm like, how the fuck does that work? Where do you get your information from if you aren't telling it yourself?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a dialogue, then how are you questioning what you hear? And so I can only conclude that people without a monologue, they receive their information from the exterior, like robots, remote controlled from the media. That's why they absolutely conform, because they don't have anything else to say, hang on a minute, let's question this. They don't have that facility. So isn't that bizarre? Don't you think that's remarkable that at this day and age, in the advancement of the technical ability of the human being, there's nobody really scientifically talking about the vast difference of millions of people. Why is that? That's really, really bizarre.
What's crazy is too, they'll conform, but here's the weird part now. Then they go, okay, it's one thing to be like, they said this, I'm just going to blindly believe it and start following it. But then they go at the person who is not doing that, even if that person is submissive about it or kind of benign and they're not really like arguing. They'll go, oh, wait, this looks like someone who doesn't believe that, so I'm going to go after them when these people are not doing anything. That's the part that really gets me. Like the conform part is that we get these people, they get in their brain, they don't have anything to stop that from happening, where they get corrupted. But then what's in the brain, that triggering that says, I'm not just going to be content with believing this blindly. I'm going to now attack the person who doesn't believe this. It's boggling to me.
Well,
Now that's the next thing they have to do, is just go after somebody now. Just, you're not
yeah.
content enough with that.
Yeah, but because if these people think that seriously there is a killer virus around, then anybody that's not wearing a mask obviously could be a contagion and a potential killer. So that's what strikes their naive emotional state, and that's when they get all hysterical. And so, hysteria was a very big deal in the early Freudian times,
Yeah.
because they related all, um, let's say, uh, hyper emotional responses to hysteria, which they weren't quite sure of what was triggering it. But there's lots of triggers, and one of the triggers is obviously is if they're feeling in fear of their lives for an irrational reason, then they're going to be hysterical, and that's why we saw all of these Karens really screaming and getting completely out of hand, just for something which was completely irrational. Because if they ever stopped to just rationalize it, they go, hang on, this isn't working. It isn't working in any shape or form that the government is telling us it's working. And so there's something afoot. And that's what, many human beings did, because we have this facility of rational, clear thinking. But there's a whole bunch of people that clearly don't have that, which makes them very, very dangerous. And they are a major threat to the stability of the world, because all it needs is someone like a Hitler to tell them that, hey, it was them over there that's brought our country down, and then the hate is so deeply embedded and rooted.
I
But
wonder how. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was wondering too, like with the you were talking about that, and it made me think of with trans people, they'll be like in public. You were talking about the Karens, and I think of some of the early videos I used to see when there was a popular one where a guy went into a video game shop, and the guy behind the counter called him sir, but it was not a sir to him. He was like a trans, and he flipped out. That's a famous video on
Right.
YouTube, and he starts trashing everything. And I'm thinking, well, this one though doesn't have anything attached to it, like they're in fear of their life because this person
Yes.
lied me, and they still well, this guy has the audacity to think, well, he looked like a guy dressed like a girl. That's all he looked like, like because he looked like a guy with long hair, and then he put makeup on. So it's like, of course, the guy is just thinking, I don't know, what is this, and for them to get that offensive and get that mad over somebody saying, oh, sir, it's another mental thing that these people have, which is, and I don't want to go too deep into them because obviously I think if you're doing that, and I'm going to stand by this, people who do that, you have some kind of thing. If you're doing that, I knew somebody who told me once, a friend of mine, they pulled me aside and said, I'm thinking of doing this. This was even before it kind of became popular. I'm thinking of transitioning over. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why you're telling me this, but he told me, and I'm thinking, okay. And then I started looking at him, and I knew maybe this has to do with his childhood because he was in foster homes, and he wasn't raised by his parents. And I thought, okay, he's got the issues, and now we see it with this big influx of these people doing the transitioning, and a lot of them have mental issues. And I think to do that, you probably have to have mental issues. What's your thought on that? If you're doing something like that to yourself as an adult, you probably have some kind of thing, because why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, I think you've got a very valid point, because they are emotionally unstable, and obviously, if they're emotionally unstable, then they've had mental imbalances in their lives, probably stemming
Right.
from their childhood, and so
And
they
that's where
see.
a lot of them, you'll hear the stories, they'll say things like that, and you'll hear the stories, you go, oh,
Yeah,
there it is.
yeah. I once saw a video, just someone holding his phone, and what happened is, uh, I think it was something to do with, like, maybe the COVID thing. There was some kid, a 14-year-old kid, who was just cycling by, and he went too close, and this big fat woman, she knocked the kid off the bike, too close to me, and one other woman saw this, and she started to get really emotional, really hysterical, and she was filming the whole thing, and then she was screaming, "Oh, when people start to get violent, I get so upset because I had a violent childhood and now I can't bear to see it. And that's what triggered her. That triggered her into this, really over the top emotional state, just because she saw a little bit of an act of violence. No big deal, just someone being pushed off the bike. But when we look at these people, and I think that people who are a little bit clever, they'll go, there's an opportunity here for me to be somebody,
Yeah.
to gain respect, the respect that I never had as a child or as a young adult. But now I've got the opportunity. I can dress up like a drag queen, and woe betide anybody that doesn't give me that homage. And so then that's when they will come over the top. How dare you? Because they've created their own power, which is backed by the state, ironically.
Yeah. Yeah. And all these companies, look at what Bud Light, all of them, they get behind this stuff. And I keep thinking, what are you doing? Like, what are we doing here? You're getting by, like, but the Bud Light thing really got me because it's like, do you even know your audience here? What are you doing? Obviously, they didn't because they hired some lady to for diversity, I guess, and that was her idea. What an idiot idea that was. Like, this is just beer drinking men and women that are like, well, what kind of idea was that? But they wanted to appeal to them, which is such a tiny demographic generally, even tinier in the alcohol community. And you still want to, you allow one of your employees to make that decision boggled me. Because like I said, they're a small percentage of the universe as it is, let alone within the alcoholic community. And you still
Yeah.
put all your eggs in that basket and push that stuff. And that's why people, I've heard many people that I know and people I follow that said, I don't care about those people. And I'm like, do what you want, but why? You guys are all pushing this now everywhere on everybody. Like, why do I need that? Now you're telling me if I don't like approve of that, now somehow I don't like you people. If I don't want it in everything, now you think I want you all dead or something. That's the mentality they come at. If someone said something to you that was trans and you just kind of pushed back a little bit, just like you might push back with me or your daughter in a conversation. Oh, to your daughter or to me, that might be like a pushback in a conversation. We go, okay, you disagree with me. With them, you're a transphobe. It's
Mhm.
not a disagreement. Now you're a transphobe.
Yeah.
That's I don't like that stuff. Like, wait, no
Yeah.
one can disagree with you?
You've been labeled, you've been publicly shamed, you've been put in the stock and had tomatoes and cabbages thrown at you. The point being now, when we've got people like Musk who professes to uh, have taken it upon himself to kill this whole business that's going around. He when Jordan Peterson was doing the interview with him, Peterson asked, why Musk feel so powerful about this, and he said, because I lost a son to it. This was to the gender changing because he said he had false information, or he never really looked into the dangers of the information of having hormone replacement, and so his son, one of his sons, took this hormone replacement, and now he can never he's not fertile anymore, and so he's lost his son because he's not a real man. And so he feels really, really strong about that, and so with his power, he can make a lot of difference. And then with someone who's so prolific and prominent like Peterson, well, he can also do the same. And nobody's tried to cancel Peterson. That's the thing. I don't know whether they'd even dare, but nobody's, to my knowledge, has tried to cancel him.
Is he cancelable? He might be on the teetering on the edge of can you cancel him? He's got such a fervent following that,
Yeah.
and also here's a way around getting canceled. You don't even have to be super popular. You could just say, I don't really care what you just said and move on with your life. They could try, because I think that's the most powerful thing. Like, ignore them. Like they'll eventually just get bored with like trying to get your attention on something and then move on. That's my take anyway. who knows?
Yeah, he's too clever. He's too powerful. He will never ever back down. He's got too much of a following, and there's a good sector of society which is behind him because even I think there's very few people that really grok what Peterson is saying 90% of the time because he's vastly too deep and intellectual.
Yeah.
But they like something about that. They like something about that masculinity. They like something about that thinking ability. They are drawn to it, like people are drawn to my videos, even
I was just going to say,
maybe.
I think there's a parallel there. It's kind of like with you. He has that kind of thing where they'll just, especially young men, they
Yeah.
gravitate to that really easily. Yeah.
Yeah, so my demographic is that predominantly young men under, let's say, 35, British. That's I would think 70% of my viewers, according to the analytics. There's about 10 or 12% women, and I think most of those are European. I
You
don't
got to
know why.
get a woman on the conversation show. You got to get a girl on here.
Well,
I think
in the old days,
we need
Tommy.
that viewpoint.
Yeah, I've got loads of videos with conversations. I used to have a whole bunch more conversations with people, and I think it's because the topics were much more graspable by other people. Recently, the last year, I've gone too esoteric. I think into the spiritual thing and the religious thing and all that, and most people are not really interested in that. They don't have the depth of information to be able to call on, to be able to grasp what I'm actually speaking about. Well, what do you think about that?
First, more specifically, I meant like getting like we haven't had a female viewpoint to your stuff because there's a masculine edge to your videos. I'd like to see in one of the conversations, hopefully, one of the women that listen will step up and come on the and do a.
Yeah, well, everyone's always been invited, and I used to. You would know that I used to speak with lots of women, but nobody comes forward these days, save for the time served people that have been around for years. They're confident that they can engage with me. They study similar sort of things, whereas anybody that's half my age, unless they're very, very well read and experienced, they're going to struggle. And so I think that's the difference these days. In the old days, I'd speak about urine therapy, I'd speak about law of attraction, I'd speak about manifesting our reality, and diets and a whole bunch of stuff that people could engage with. Whereas these days, they don't. But I don't know how a woman would fit in unless she is like some sort of a mystic. What sort of a woman would you think would engage, with this subject matter that I'm engaging with so much? I mean, I don't mind. I can pick other subjects. If a woman wanted to come and talk about fucking crochet, then fine. I'd do my best to engage.
I
You
would
know.
think. I would think maybe either long term viewer women would do it, or ones based around Providence, which is an animal. Women probably have more proclivity to kind of comment on that because there's when they see a guy, you know, taking
But you can't
interest.
have a 2-hour conversation about Providence.
Right, that you get him in with Providence and then you lead it into Trump after that.
Well,
It just goes into Trump.
leave it to
No,
Trump.
but you lure them in, say, yeah, it'll be Providence for 2 hours, and then once they're on, they're on. No, but like, there's got to be some. I mean, your topics, yeah, they are more because I would guess if we looked at Peterson's, the amount of women, it's probably a very small amount of women that
Yeah,
are.
it's young men.
But I think you probably have more than him. If we looked at numbers, I'd put money on that you'd have more women viewers than he has women followers. But yeah, I guess you're right. That is a tough thing. Like, what would you talk about with a female awakened brave? Now, I don't know. I'd have to like scour the comments and see what some of them are saying. I would assume though, and again, some I wouldn't even know if it's a girl, based unless they have a photo. But
Yeah.
I would think the Providence. You're right. You can't talk 2 hours about that, but you could talk about that, and then it could turn into things about nurturing, and then you're into nurturing, and then you're into relationships, and then you're off into like who knows what, because you never know where the conversation one thread can take you into a whole nother topic. But
Yeah, I
so
mean, a
you're
woman could engage me with love, relationships, with emotions and intuition for sure. I can lend myself to all that.
Yeah, you could tell them, hey, if you're interested in a convo, you pick the topic and let them come out, because I guarantee you, you'll glide
Yeah.
right into the right of that. Yeah, you're not going to be stuck for an answer. Um, but back to that, maybe this is part of it. That animal magnetism thing I was talking about. Do you like that? Do you think, hey, these followers, there's a sense that maybe they're because animal magnetism, what's the definition of that? I guess it would be someone like people who are pulled into your vibe, and there's like a sense of like they're almost like followers, like this person, whatever they're saying, I'm kind of drawn to this, and they could say something like that I don't agree with, but I'm still going to follow them. Do you like that in a viewer, that someone who's, because that's probably a lot of your viewers are very not fanatical but very diehard.
Yeah, I don't think anything personal about it.
Yeah,
I think that they're not following me. They are engaged in an energy field.
right.
And the vibration that I am speaking at is a vibration that they have and they're interested in. And, the last thing I want is, a bunch of followers or sycophants or anything like that.
Right.
I always say, look, it's not about me. Don't make it about me. It's all about you, what you hear, what you see, what you feel. I can talk about all my experiences and this, that, and the other, but I'm not a movie. I don't put my videos up for you guys to watch me like a movie. I put my videos up to give you an opportunity to think about you, how it affects you. And, I'm always emphatic about that. It's philosophy, it's psychology, it's spirituality. It's not about me as an individual, because I don't care about, any of you and all that. I live alone. I'm very insular. I don't have any friends. Uh, and I don't need any friends, and that's the thing. And what we find is when we become this sort of spiritual guy, that people don't have friends. Mujay, does he have friends? Does Sadhguru have friends? Really, do they have friends? I mean, they go out and they do these shit shows all the time, but do they have friends, or do they just can't wait to get back to their own fucking place?
Yeah.
Did Osho have friends? No. For many years, these people are insular. They have something to impart onto the masses. They do it as a chore to the universe. It isn't through no act of benevolence, I'm sure. It's a chore to the universe, just like it is for me. And I don't care whether anybody takes it or not. And I don't care whether anybody saves themselves from, committing suicide or not. I mean, it's of no relevance to me. I don't know, the vast majority of people. So why should I have an emotional attachment? And it's very important to be completely detached in my position, because if I was attached, then I'd get torn all over the place.
So do you look at your, and yeah, you like to shake those people loose every once in a while too. I'll see you tear into people. You don't want the people who are kind of not, that are just blindly following, or I do like the fact that you shake people loose every once in a while. You shake the tree every couple weeks. I
Yeah.
like that. Get all the loose branches out of there. Do you consider then that how would I phrase this? Do you consider yourself then like a teacher or an entertainer? Or you just, when you make the videos, you're like, I'm going to teach people this, or I'm just going to entertain them? How do you look at that, like when you're presenting the videos? I mean,
Again, I'm
this
just
is
doing my
stuff you
job.
have to say. Think maybe you just have to say this now, right? Like stuff that's in you. I got to say this.
Yeah.
Take it for what you will.
I wouldn't do this of my own volition, because I can honestly say that I get very little from it. With the amount of conversations like this one, this is a pleasant conversation.
Well, wait,
It,
now when you say you don't get anything from it, sorry to interrupt you. Do you mean monetarily or anything? internally
No,
from it.
yeah, I mean, for instance, look at the depth of the comments. What would the comments mean to a philosopher or a psychoanalyst? That they're so flimsy, they're so meaningless. The vast majority of them. I mean, there's some people that say, "Oh, I've had this experience and I've had that. Great, I love that, and thank you for telling me because that's what this channel's about." But does it mean anything to me? Doesn't mean anything to me. Why should it? What am I getting emotionally from it? Am I getting some sort of confidence? Am I getting support? Am I a needy person? No, none of that. In actual fact, it's kind of like a pain in the ass that I have to do it and wear my voice out, on lots of occasions. I'm doing this channeling. I'm doing this teaching. Yeah, you, you know, I don't really. I mean, rabbi, guru, teacher, any of these things, I don't set out really to teach. I say what comes through me. To be fair, for instance, look, I'll get inspiration from a whole bunch of things. I get channeled information. I get books placed in my lap by the cosmos. I'm absolutely convinced whenever that book is necessary for me. And so I've bought books 6 years ago. They're on my bookshelf that I haven't read. Now is the time. Now, something knew that I needed to buy those books because I was going to need them at a certain time. And lately, I've been feeling out of sorts. I'm not being satiated. That I need more. I'm kind of plateauing. What's the next step? And now the next step is Blavatsky. And so it's like, wow. And Dostoevsky and, Peterson, as boring as he can be on lots of occasions. But you see, Peterson's mind is where my mind is. And we're both looking for the same thing. We're maybe going about it in a different way, but we're both looking for the same thing. We're asking, why the fuck is this like it is? So yeah, I put these videos out there and then, I'll look for anything that's of interest in the comments. And, invariably there isn't. And it's kind of like, I can't say it's for me then, can I? I can't say it's for me because I don't get anything. You know,
So
it,
say your comment. Sorry again to interrupt, but
mm,
I don't want to lose the thought I had. So say someone makes a comment to them. This is like they get something out of making the comment, but to you're like, that comment means nothing. But maybe you were expecting a comment from this. Like if you make a video and it's on um, Providence, and you're expecting these kind of comments, and then someone just says something like, "Wow, that," says something about, "Wow, that's a nice street you're walking on." I get you. Like this has nothing to do with the video. To them, they're thinking, "Oh, I have to make this comment." It kind of all doesn't have to have some great like meaning for you, but when you see those comments, for example, say somebody says something, "Oh wow, look at that. That's like a nice bush that you're looking at." I remember you were looking at church. You were looking at leaves, and they all look like hearts. Now, say someone said, "Oh, that's a nice bush." It's kind of a banal comment. It's kind of nothing exciting or important, but maybe they're like, "Oh man, I just had to say that." So, what do you think? Like when someone just has a comment, do you ever think it might be a simple comment, but to them, it's like that was like important. Oh, I want to tell this guy, I like this guy. Maybe they don't want to comment back, but it kind of has some validity every comment, right? Like from someone, because where they're coming from, even like if someone says something bad, like that you don't like, that has validity, and maybe something that is like, what is this person talking about? They like
yeah.
my they like
Let
my
me
jacket or something.
let me use this analogy. If we're panning for gold, we're only looking for the flecks of gold. Now,
Mm,
when I
like that,
put out a video that is
like that.
speaking about profound subject matter, I am only looking for people
Mm,
who get it,
all
that can
right, got
show me that they get it. Everything else is completely a waste of time. It's superfluous, and I wring my hair and I go, whatever. And,
Okay.
I've been on this journey for so long, I know it's not about me because I can't stop doing it. It's a force that's working through me. It is giving me what I need and it's taking me on a journey for whatever reason. I don't know what the journey is, but lots of people say that my work is invaluable to them. So maybe that's it. Why am I always reading these, books of a fucking 1,000 pages or whatever? That they take a lot of getting through, and I'm giving my life away to ingesting this information so I can put it back out there again. That's the only thing that I can, imagine other than, knowing it myself. But you see, when we are like we are, spiritually inclined, we know this stuff anyway. And the only reason I'm reading Blavatsky now is because she's telling me stuff that I figured out for myself. And it's like, well, fucking hell, this is one person that knew this stuff when, there's hundreds of thousands and millions and billions of people that would think I'm talking shit. What is it with me? Why do I know this stuff? Why am I speaking about there is not just one spirit in the fucking body when I'm reading Blavatsky only this morning? And she says everybody has two souls. One is the earthbound soul, and the other one is the astral bound soul. And I'm like, well, fucking hell, hooray. But I've been telling people this and saying, what do you think about that? Have you ever given it any thought? Nothing. There's nothing there. I'm like, okay, well, when Blavatsky wrote this stuff, I suppose she got the same sort of fucking reception. People like us do. That's just par for the course. We're ahead of our time. Blavatsky was doing it in 1875. I'm doing it in 2023. We're still ahead of our time because the masses will never ever get this stuff.
You think also like because YouTube, you put your videos on YouTube and they're accessible by anybody for free. They can go on their phone, and people are on their phones a lot, and they've come across it. It pops up on their thing, and they check it out. The people you're talking about, like the people had to kind of seek their stuff out, so they were already interested in that, and they're like, oh, I'm going to go get the new book from this, or I'm going to go to this reading from this person. But here, people might just come across this and they're not sure, and then they get a load of your videos, like, oh, I get this guy. You might get a comment on something that seems kind of banal, and it's like that might have been their first video ever. They'll get used to it after a while, but I always thought like, well, maybe the ones he doesn't like, these people probably don't even know yet what they're getting into and what kind of video channel this is. But because, like I said, anybody can access it, and they're not even sure if they see a title of your, Christians, whatever, whatever the title may be, they come across it, and they're not really entrenched in who you are yet, and just make a kind of light comment.
Yeah.
And I think you might expect, though, again, because you did use the word expectation, maybe like you're thinking, hey, everyone that's seeing this for the first time must know exactly where I'm coming from and what my videos are like. But with YouTube, you get a lot of in and out people that you pop up and don't know anything about your
Yeah.
stuff, and might be like, oh, that's a nice, whatever. And you're like, don't you get what I'm saying? And they might have just popped
No.
up and they liked it.
But mostly, I think I'm always expressing that I'm speaking to the regular viewers. I'm
Right.
saying, look, you guys have been around for fucking years. Most of you don't comment, and surely you must know what I'm about these days. Surely you know what I require from you. I just want you to know that you're getting it, and I'm not wasting my fucking time. Because, albeit, this is my job, and I'm going to have to keep on doing it in any case, it is nice now and again to go, oh, that person gets it. Oh, that person, really appreciates. And sometimes people will write, long comments, and it's like I like that. I
And
like
that
it
gets
that
you, gets you, gets you
you've
going to
told
the
me
next.
where in the world you are, how old you are, if you're suffering, this, that, and the other, because I can profile you and you become real to me. If people don't come real to me, then they just text on the computer, and I tell people demeaningly, listen, you mean fuck all to me because you just text. What is it in your fucking, minuscule consciousness that you think that you mean something to me? You
Yeah,
don't mean anything to me unless you become real.
yeah, I see that this is definitely one. It's one of your popular refrains. You do like that. I like this side of you because it shows like, hey, he's not gonna. I like a viewer. Excuse me. I like a YouTuber person. I don't want to call you a YouTuber. That seems kind of like putting you in a weird box. But someone who does content to be like, look, I don't care. Some of these people, or most of them, they're just like, I'm not going to ruffle a feather. I'm going to, every comment, I'm going to think, oh, thank you so much. I kind of like that you do that, though. That's what you need, because you're going to separate the wheat from the chaff. And anyway,
Yeah.
and those people, yeah, you don't want them there anyway, because you're doing work here. This is like, you don't have to do this. You
There's
say,
no
you're not
point in them being here.
yeah, right. So, but I do think, because you said you're very insular, you're not in a relationship, you have your very, uh, simple existence that's familiar to you, and you like that. But I do think this is the thing, because you say, I'm not going to do this, fuck you people, but you come back, and I think this is the thing you're supposed to do. The tortured artist thing, it's perfect for you because you are. Look at the people you're talking about that you like, all of them. They might resent some of the people that are their viewers. Anthony Bourdain said this. One of his final messages he was sending to the girlfriend, the ex-wife or the ex-girlfriend. The text came out, and he said, "Oh, I hate my fans. I hate that." And he was saying this stuff at the end, and he was tortured. So these people that are really, truly, and I don't want to start blowing smoke up your ass. I'm just saying you're a really good mind, and you're pretty smart about stuff, and you have a great way of speaking, all that stuff, and that. So you demand, you're like, hey, I want more than just nice jacket. And I get that. I appreciate that you do that. But it ain't gonna stop. Some of those people are gonna make that, and then you're gonna be Aaron Barry, and you're gonna be like, you mother effers. I love that about it. And I don't want that to change, because that's you. There's the yin and the yang I was talking about earlier. I don't want Aaron Barry coming up here and kissing everybody's butt. Like,
Yeah.
what do I get out of that? I can see that with someone. I'm looking up a cell phone and watch the guy kissing my butt about how great this phone is, because someone's paying him to say how great it is.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any information. With you, we're getting the real information. Whether you agree with it or not, or what, even if it's a Christian not agreeing, he's giving you the real information of what he feels like. There's no filtering to it. He's not paid by anybody. YouTube can take the videos down or demonetize them. I don't think it's going to bother you. So I like that. I was just saying, like, look at some of these other viewpoints. Like, maybe people don't even know who you are and they're commenting, and it's good for you to say, get out of here with your comment. But they probably don't even know what they're getting into. They'd have to go back into the archives and go, oh, I get this guy now. He's pretty
Yeah.
intense in his feelings.
There are times when I, get a bit reflective and think that I should be more considerate and I should give people more slack. But if what I've worked out in the past, that the more slack I cut, the more lazy my viewers become. It's only when I'm seriously reining in my viewers and I'm pointing the finger and I'm talking to you, looking in this fucking camera now, you, the people that have been watching me, for all these years, you're the ones, because if you're still here, you're getting something. Tell me
Yeah, and
what
buy
you're
the
getting.
book. If you've been here, buy the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but by the book,
73,
tell
get
me
into
what you're
100.
getting and write a review, put something
Yeah, it
back.
doesn't take
You
long.
don't send me no money, you don't give no fucking thumbs up, the vast majority. What are the thumbs up? 20 thumbs up is
Oh,
is pretty high, and any might be it's shocking. It's shocking. And I
yeah.
just don't get the mentality. I
Takes a
think,
second
well,
to go like that, just a split second.
yeah, yeah.
Just like crazy.
They know what it's about. It helps the algorithms. It gets your videos up there so more people see it, so more people are privy to the information. All this stuff. I can't help thinking that the vast majority of my viewers are so envious. They're so uptight that they just don't want to give a single thing to see my channel growing. And it's kind of like it must be a love-hate relationship. It must be, because if it was a love relationship, then people were saying, "What's your PayPal? What's your address? Let me send you this book. You'd be really interested." Nobody invariably ever wants to give me anything. I find that kind of perplexing. There's one woman that she started to be a regular PayPal. It lasted 2 months, and then it was cancelled. This is how it is. People want you to give them what they want every single video, all through the video. If you don't, the only thing they remember is that you pissed them off and you didn't give them what they fucking wanted. So fuck you. I'm not giving a thumb up. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's so sad. that they only want to thumb up when something. Yes, that's what I believe. They're looking for confirmation bias because
Good.
if they were looking for pure content,
That
if they
thing.
were looking for someone with a heart and a soul, a rare fucking character these days, if they were looking for someone with charisma, if they're looking for someone with intelligence, if they're looking for a medium, I don't know what the fuck is going on here, but if they're looking for something more than what they're getting out there, then the viewers will be massively more high, and the engagement and the fucking thumbs up and all that would be massively more high. But it's not, and so there is something that perturbs them and restrains them from doing that.
Yeah, the not liking it, I get that. The confirmation bias is right. So someone will see a video and they don't agree with what you're saying. They consider that, well, I don't like that. You could still like something if you disagree with it. But you're right. It looks like they just look at it as, well, I don't agree with it, so that video wasn't good. It wasn't. You could still learn something with something you don't agree with and say, you know what, that guy presented it well. I like what he said. I don't have to agree with it. That's a good video. So it's strange that people do that, but you're right. Like they have to be like, yeah, right. Is he right? He agrees that this is this way, and we shouldn't do this, and we should do this, and but it's like you could still agree, and the video can be entertaining and informative without you being, brushed like a pony. I don't understand the thinking. It's the internet, the new age people. I don't know if the viewers are. I don't think people our age are doing that. It's probably younger people, I guess, would do that. I would hope it's younger
Yeah.
people. Older people aren't, just like brushing things off because they don't agree with it. Because all your videos are entertaining. I mean, they're not like if you're in a foul mood and you come out and you lay into them, that's just as entertaining as you being gentle with Providence and kind of showing people the connection between animal and human. You like the video. You watched it. If you watch, and that's another thing. Like, are they watching the things all the way through?
If you keep coming back, then own up that you're getting something from it. So give the fucking
Because you're
channel.
coming back. You're coming back. Now, do you have the channel monetized or you're not? Because you don't ever. I don't ever see ads pop up. You don't want a penny from it because
Well,
you can get monetized at this point.
yeah. I had a principle that I wouldn't be like everybody else. But I can't monetize even if I wanted to now because they've got one strike and that lasts 3 months before they'll monetize your videos. But somebody was saying to me, fucking you should monetize it. The fuckers are not giving you anything. So fuck it if they're inconvenienced by the adverts and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I remember in the past when I had channels monetized, I'd get about £150 a month from AdSense revenue. And I'm like, well, that buys a few fucking beers. And so seeing as, there's nothing coming from anywhere else, then, I'll do that when this strike expires.
It's weird because mine, I don't like. I just started it, and like some of the videos, there's like ads popping up before me. I'm like, how is this even possible? I don't know if that's cool, but because I mean, they're not supposed to really pop up until you have them on, and then you're able to get monetized. But
Yeah, somebody said to me, by the way, I don't know whether it was you or somebody else as well, that said like, "Have you monetized this channel? Because there's adverts on." And I'm like, "No."
it wasn't
And it's
me.
kind of like, well, how does that work then? Because they shouldn't be allowed to put adverts on
Yeah,
your
right.
fucking video.
I saw it on mine. I was testing it out, and I'm looking. I'm like, that's an ad. I don't want ads on this. There's hardly anybody watching these. People are not going to watch them as it is. But yeah, the comment thing has always rubbed you. Now, back in the day, let's go back a bit to early AB on the YouTube. Was it when you were first doing it? Did you have? Because you put up a lot of greatest hits, and those are such a different vibe. I do notice this, and correct me if I'm wrong. A much more calmer Aaron Berry. A much more you were. The people didn't get, at least the ones you're putting up didn't get your
Yeah, I don't put the ranting ones up. I put the calm ones up.
Because I'm like, all right, because maybe they weren't getting to him
They were there. They were always there.
I figured that. I'm like, wow, he's always walking. He's walking on the beach. He's all calm. He's talking real slow. Some of those videos where you're on the beach, I'm just like, I'm ready to drift off. They're very relaxing. Yeah, that's those videos have that's one hell of a setting there. I guess that was maybe Portugal or what a setting.
You know, I uploaded about 8 videos the other day of when I'm walking on the beach and I'm just looking at the waves washing over the water and on the sand and then looking at the seagulls and this, that, and the other. And then I thought, they just ain't going to be fucking interested in this because I put a couple of videos up before
Oh,
about similar sort of things. They got about 50 views. One's got one fucking comment and, they've got about 5 thumbs up. And, I'm like, what the fuck these people want? What do they see? What are they looking for? Because I'm
I
telling you now, and I say it time and time again. I say, look, people, what you're looking for is what is in here. When you
yeah.
close your fucking idiot mind down, that's what you're looking for, but you don't get it. And in these videos, I'm pointing exactly to what's in here. A still mind, motherfuckers. When you can have all the time in the world to watch running water over fucking rocks or whatever it is,
Mhm.
that's then when you've got the secret of the
All right.
universe.
It's funny because I'll watch those and I'll look at I like looking at the comments, and a lot of times on the vintage ones, the people are saying, "Oh, what are you time traveling?" or they're saying something like that, and they're not even like, "Dude, you're missing this video." Is like this was the most relaxing like thing, and they're like, "Oh wow, how old are you there?" And it's like, so I get
Yeah.
you on those with the comments. It's like you're like they're more like almost like I don't want. I'm not gonna say they're like monkeys. I'm not saying that, but they're like, "Oh look, the most common denominator thing they see is
Yeah.
what's pulling them to make a comment." But I'm like, this 4 minute video is him telling you, look at the birds, look at the waves. That's one of the classics. Look at
Yeah. Look.
look at it enjoying itself.
Yeah.
Look, and they're missing that, and it's like you're not enjoying yourself. You're looking at his hair or whatever.
But
But
even when I put up these videos and I'm saying, like the one I put up this afternoon, I said, any of you had any of these experiences? Lots of you must have done psychedelics. What experiences did you have? If you want to put that down in the comments, then they will be gratefully received. But one comment so far addressed that, and it's always the case. And I'm like, well, the human mind is a very, very perplexed thing. Everybody is so scattered and stratified. They are so far flung from being still and observant and in the moment that they are just not in the vibration. They've got all these jobs to do. They've got the kids to look after. They've got the car to wash. They've got the fence to fucking paint. They've got all this stuff. And most people are, watching or listening to my videos when they're doing the hoovering or the washing up. Well, they're not watching, are they? They're not watching. My
but
video is mostly about watching, observing.
the painting of a fence is a meditation. If they just look, you could be painting the fence, and that could be a meditation. So maybe these people don't get it that everything's a
Brush
meditation.
on, brush off.
Yeah, that's right. One of the videos you did, and one of the vintage ones, was about listening meditation. So you talked about you're sitting in a square. You probably remember it. You're sitting in the
Yeah,
town square, and you're talking about, oh, so you could say, I can't do this. It's this is going on. This is going on. You said, oh, you can do it. And you can. So the guy's saying, I don't have time to pay attention to this or be still in the moment. Well, if you're painting I'm glad you used painting a fence. If that ain't a meditative thing, and you like you said last hour, I mean, just in that motion, just to be in that flow, everything. When I'm watching you do your cooking videos, that's a meditation, and you tone it down. I notice you might be subconscious, but you're toning it down. You're very methodical, and your tone is different. Your pace of your voice is different because now you're meditating. You're probably conscious of it. Most people aren't. They realize, wait, I'm actually meditating right now. The rhythm of that, because you're doing a rhythm. No one's going 2, 2, 2, 3, 4. You're going
yeah,
chop, chop. It's the syncopation. The metronome
yeah,
is
yeah,
chopping. And then, so I'm watching that, get it dovetailing back to the other thing. You're like, I got to get the bluegrass pulled off. I got to go start it again. And then the water is running, and I was like, all right, we go from chop, chop, chop to shh. I was like, this is great, man. And I said to myself, I hope people are like not going, let me scrub ahead on the video till I see him
yeah,
pop into frame, because
yeah.
this is where the video's at.
And the people that fast
Unintentional
forward
meditation.
people that just fast forward to the end. They don't want to know anything about the process or the procedure. They don't want to listen to the conversation. They just want to see what it is I'm cooking and what it is at the end. And then if it's titivating or tantalizing their taste buds, then they're on to the next one and the next one and the next one. But if people are living these, super fast, stressed lives, then it's understandable on a level because they don't have all the time in the world and the peace and quiet environment just to sit down for 45 minutes and get involved and immersed in one of my videos and say to themselves, what is this guy really saying? Because he's saying words, but they're coming from a very deep place. What really is the energy which he's trying to convey? You see, each one of my videos is uh, an opportunity for someone to psychoanalyze themselves from what they tune into, what they get out of it, what means something to them. And then if they pause the video, oh, why do I find that so attractive? Why did I forget or wasn't even paying attention to the last 5 minutes of the video? But this strikes a chord. And so there's all these opportunities. But if people are just looking for the highlights, they're looking for something that they're projecting onto my videos. Then they're missing the journey. And I think my videos are a journey, aren't they?
Oh yes, yes. And they're, like I said, they're meditative if you want them to be. And I do like the comments you get. Like, I like it. You have some people on here that really make some like stuff that shouldn't even be in a YouTube comment. I'm like, this is really well written. And then you'll get into a thread with them, and it'll go back and forth. I'm like, well, this is a get these people on. And then I look, I'm like, oh, some of these people have been on. Those are the ones that give you good conversation on here. But you get some really good comments. I'm like, wow, this is some good stuff. But for a 3-minute video where you're walking down the beach and you're being silly or you're kind of just letting the sounds do the talking, yeah, I wish there was more people that were getting it and being like, oh man, this really relaxed me. Thanks for this 3-minute thing that I needed. For this 3 minutes I clicked, I didn't have to, invest too much, and I got like a really good vibe from it, because I do love the ones on the beach. Those are, the
When I did that one, look at the beach enjoying itself.
love.
Not a single comment says, I like that humor. Oh, that's an interesting perspective, because what you're doing there, Aaron, you are projecting the joy within you onto the beach, because it's all one. You see, the beach and the sky and everything. When you have been into a certain conscious state, you know that the world is absolutely enjoying itself, and this is why I say that the trees are dripping ecstasy. The whole natural world is, in actual fact, dripping ecstasy. It is pure ecstasy. When you've been into that space, you know exactly what it is. But of course, many people haven't been into that space. So when I'm then fooling around, I'm calling upon what I've seen and what I felt. And when I say, look at that sand, enjoying being smooth, because I've seen sand in 1,000, 10,000 different varieties, and I've noticed and marveled at every single one of them. Whereas the vast majority of people just say, it's sand. Sand, Aaron.
Right.
Sand. No, it's not just fucking sand. Sand comes in 1 billion varieties, people. And as soon as you start to fucking tune into that, then that's when you become awoken, enlightened. There's a difference, because the world is absolutely magical in every single shape or form. And all you need to do is just to be with it, to watch it, to look at it. And when I say look at those rocks, enjoying being smooth. Look at that water, enjoying washing over those smooth rocks. Look at what's going on for millions of years. If it isn't enjoying itself, what the fuck's it doing it for? What the fuck's the cosmos doing it for? If people just think, oh, it's just atoms, it's just this, and it's just that, it absolutely isn't, people. You're not even close. You're so far away. The cosmos is enjoying itself. It's creating itself every single second of the day. And if you can't stop for 2 seconds to look at and enjoy it with it, you're lost souls.
The humor in it probably threw people off on the message. If you had said it a different way, they might have got it. But it's like I think the humor was perfect with the humor because it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's very impactful. I'm going to show you something in a book I have. Hang on, let me just show you something. Let me see here. Okay, you might not be able to see this, but all right. The video was impactful to me. Like I have this thing I write, put little stuff in it, little quotes or anything. But that
Right.
video, you might not be able to see it, but that whole thing, look at the world enjoying itself. I don't know if you can see. I did a thing because
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. And you got the AB
all the
motions
lines,
there.
and then all the lines. There's the waves because I was like, this was very impactful. I don't
Right.
know if you could see all the stuff, but I wrote it down because to me it felt like something, some kind of wisdom from the ages. It sounds crazy, but wisdom doesn't have to be something from 10,000 years ago. People can still say things. And I was like,
It's
so
timeless wisdom. It's absolutely timeless. And you know what? Look, Tommy, this is wonderful that you showing me the impact that, my words and videos have had on you. This is what I'm asking from people. I'm just saying, if you have been impacted, let me know because then it gives me more of a reason and purpose in doing what I'm doing. And it will most certainly prevent Supercilious from rearing his ugly head, every 10 videos because if there's nothing comes back like what you've just presented to me there, that's wonderful. You've got the sun, you've got the AB motive in the sun, you've got the words, and you're expressing yourself and you're feeling it. Yeah, I'm just asking people, are you feeling it? Are you feeling it?
you even got the finger pointing because that
Yeah.
was good. And I even added a little one in here. Look at this journal enjoying itself being written on. That was my own part of it. Because as I was writing, I'm thinking, for me to be spurred into putting something in this thing where I put quotes in that I see that are impactful from movies, and like Jeff Goldblum said this: "Don't pretend you're not an apple." Basically saying you're all just going to decay. Don't make like you're not going to, dwindle into
Yeah.
nothing. Um, that made it in there, and I always like that because the humor actually made it more impactful to me. Don't ask me how. I haven't thought that deeply about it, but I think being silly about it was like, well, I still get what he's saying, but you had like a childlike spirit about it. Like, oh, look at that. Like a kid, hey, a 7-year-old kid would say that. Dad, look at the waves. They're so happy. A kid would think the waves are happy because they're flying around.
Yeah.
They're bopping
Well,
around.
well, you see, Jesus said, surely you have to become like children before you get into the kingdom of God. You have to have that mindset. Now, here's a little few lines that somebody I listened to was speaking about this spiritual stuff. He was sitting on the beach with his young daughter, and he had a book, and he was reading the book, and his daughter came running back from playing in the water, and he put the book down, and she was talking, and they were engaging. And then the wind blew and it started to blow the pages one by one over. And then she said, "Hey, Dad, look at the wind. It's reading your book."
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That is the magical mindset that Jesus is speaking about. When Jesus said, if you think God is in the clouds, the birds will get there before you. If you think that God is in the ocean, the fishes will get there before you.
I love it. I love
God
it.
is here. God is within you and without you. You see, in the book of Thomas, there's some amazing short verses. There's 114 verses of what Jesus is supposed to have said, written by Judas Didymus Thomas, which apparently was his twin. And within that book, Jesus says, we are all twins. We are all sons of God, and I am no different to you. That's the Jesus I'm involved with. That's the Jesus I engage with and have a belief in that he ever existed.
So I'm sure there's the impact of that video wasn't lost on people. They just probably ain't commented because if you look at the views and the amount of comments, it's going to be low, like within a YouTube channel. But maybe they just didn't know how to phrase it. But I'm sure people got that enjoying yourself thing. How that was
Yeah,
because
well,
you have some pretty smart viewers here, man.
if the universe could impart a little bit more wisdom into my mind to enable me to appreciate that more, then that would be useful. But when I just see 50 hits and people say, "Oh, I love your retro videos." Oh, okay, then I'll give you some more. And then when I give you some more, they fall dead. And, one comment, and no, no, people, no. I just absolutely, I just can't get in line, and I'm like, you must be dead, motherfuckers. I don't know who the fuck you are, where the fuck you are. You must be fucking dead. It isn't difficult to put a thumb up, and it isn't difficult to say that video touched me, that video moved me, that video worked. You could say a billion fucking things, you dumb ass motherfuckers. The rile me, the fucking rile me. And if people think I'm doing this for anything that I'm getting, I'm not fucking getting anything. Trust me.
What do you think of the logic here? Like you said, it's what, 73 book sales, right?
Yeah.
73. You should have 73 comments on the videos every
Well,
so often.
yeah, you
Not
would have
everyone's
thought.
gonna comment on every video. Not everyone's even gets. Maybe they're not seeing every video, but once in a while, you should see all those people. At least 73 different faces. Hopefully, we are, because if you think 73, they're buying the book. How'd they find out about the book? YouTube.
Yeah.
But maybe are they even making? Do you have 73 different comments you've seen, and you'd like to see those people a little more often? Because I get it. As a creator, you want people to interact, and that shows that. Because you have said it before, you're like, do you people even care? I'm making these videos. You're not even saying, and that's why I think a lot of these YouTube people, they just do the lowest common denominator with some of these videos. They're all the same. You watch a minimalism video or a video for cell phone things, they all say the exact same things in the title. They all sound exactly the same. You don't do that. I think that should elicit more response out of people. But I guess it goes back to, oh no, those bots are all they like seeing the same 50 titles from 50 different people that are talking about minimalism. Here's 20 things I can never live without. Here's 20 things I never do as a minimalist anymore. And they all make the same comments probably in every single video. So you probably don't want that either.
Yeah.
But how to get more comments, rile them up, but then it swells and then it fades. You have to rile them up again, and then they fade into the distance. It's
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah. I
your
mean,
Sisyphus, your Sisyphus just keeps going up the hill.
I'm like a conductor, orchestrating an orchestra.
I
Because
like that.
if I don't do this and don't do that, then the channel flatlines. And so I have to chop and change and spice it up and do this and do that. And then when people are starting to get comfortable that they can think that Aaron's being nice now. Whoa. That's when I've got them, because I'll turncoat on them and pull the rug straight out from under their feet, because I don't want anybody to ever be complacent. I want people to always be on their toes, so to speak, always to be paying the greatest attention, because that's what the world's lacking. It's lacking the awareness. It's lacking the presence. It's lacking the joy in the most simplest and seemingly mundane things. I made a video, 45 minutes long, and I never put it up. I just fucking deleted it. But in this video, and honestly, over this past several months, I've binned 70% of the videos I've made. Because I'm just thinking there's no point in me putting this up. I don't even want to fucking waste. I don't even want to expect anything. I just ain't gonna put it up. And so I'm being tainted. By the lack of response in lots of realms. But I said this about this rose. When I was starting out on my spiritual journey, before I'd even taken any entheogens, and before I'd even launched out on my meditation practice, I read a Buddhist book. And within this book, this guy was speaking about what he saw when he looked at a rose. And he was explaining this to his uninitiated followers. And he was asking them what they saw. And they're like, a rose. Well, what else do you see? If it's red or yellow, a yellow rose. Uh, anything else? And then they go into the dimensions. Oh, it's about 2 inches wide. It's about, X, this and that. And what else? What else? And they would stumble. And he said, look, when I look at this rose, I see the cosmos. I see the wind, I see the rain, I see the sun, I see the earth, I see the spirit, I see the vibrancy, I see the love, I see the turmoil, I see the fight for life. He could go on and on and on. Exactly. When I listened to that video, I knew that there was more that I should be seeing, even though I saw more than what most of the people he described saw. I knew that I wasn't in his mindset because it was a different dimension. Years forward, I know exactly what he's speaking about. And this is what I'm conveying, and I'm getting the same response. And so we can only assume that, minds like mine, are not that common. And when we try to express something, it cannot be computed. And I then, can be short sighted or lack memory of how I was 10, 15 years ago when I wasn't that astute. But because I've been here so long and I'm so deep now, I kind of like I've lost any notion of how I was before. And it's difficult for me to relate. And I don't want to relate to people down there. I don't want to be that level of teacher. I want to speak to people who get it already. That's my thing. I'm like, where are you? Where's the rest?
And in YouTube, you can't like you just have to like everyone's invited to the party, so you have
Yeah.
to, it's not like you go, I just get these people, but the couple people that you have on, as return guests, obviously Peter, Zigzag, and I don't know the name, the bald guy. He's good,
Andre, I'm speaking to him tomorrow.
very good to listen to. And the guy you had a couple ago, you've had a few times. I haven't seen Marcel since that initial video you did. He was very understated and relaxed. I like that. Very zen. Mem Marcel.
Yeah, Marcel, the chef,
Yeah,
uh,
very good.
he badmouthed me
Oh,
on Ziggy's channel. Saying things like, "Yeah, Aaron thinks he knows everything," and because he was upset, because I'd obviously crumpled his feathers in some sort of
well, he
shape or
should have
form.
told you that, not him.
Yeah, he's never commented on my channel again, and I haven't seen him as a subscriber. And so, look, Marcel was one of these closed minds that could never get round meditation. I taught him how to meditate. He came to me for paid meditation videos. And the last time I spoke to him, it was patently aware that he never ever grasped the method of meditation. Because what he would do is when he thought he was meditating, he would sit there thinking. And I said, Marcel, meditation is about not thinking. That's the whole concept of meditation. You clear your mind. Well, he didn't get that concept. But anyway, something I said, he just wanted to put his twopence worth in. And but then I did see in a later comment on Ziggy's channel, you see our videos, he puts them up and I put them up. But then there was something like, oh, Aaron made a good point here. So he kind of like, he came back. But, you know,
So wait,
what
he was watching the video that you did with Peter from Zigzagzilla
yeah,
and commenting on that one, but not the ones that you put on your channel with you two guys.
no,
So he would just watch those. Oh, jeez.
yeah.
So he still was interested in you. See this? They have
Oh
you have
yeah,
the
it's just still, yeah, they can't stay away, and that's what I always say. And even when people do have a big issue with me, then they say, "Well, I'll still watch his videos." Um,
This
But
line,
look, I'm not taking any prisoners on this channel. And when somebody says, who I'd seen the comments quite regular, and I don't think there's been any significance in the comments what this person's put up, but on the video I put up about having spiritual experiences on entheogens, he called me effectively a tit, because in his opinion, you can't get any connection with source by taking, psychedelics. And I said, well, people have been calling psychedelics entheogens way, way, way before psychedelic as a word was even coined. So they've been calling entheogens. It's got a Greek derivative. So entheogen comes from meaning a God within. So it comes from the same root as enthusiasm. That's how old the word is. And so if that word means God within, some fucker must have known something more than you fucking idiot, And I just say it, quite plainly, because I'm not fucking mincing around words. If someone's gonna level at me that I'm a tit, I'm like, well, you're obviously a fucking dumbass fucking Christian, and I don't give a fuck whether he unsubscribes and fucks off forever. It means nothing to me. If people are not getting by now what I'm saying, Tommy, then there's no fucking point in them being here.
so wait, Marcel got off base with you because he wasn't learning meditation properly
No, I
from
don't
what you,
think it was that.
oh, okay. I was like,
It was something that
all right.
I'd said that he didn't
Uh,
agree with, and
uh,
then he
why are we
was.
so afraid of, but why are we so afraid of hearing something we don't agree with to the point
Yeah,
where we don't want to talk with people? Like the only way past something is through it. So if you have an issue, you go through it. You go to here's Marcel, here's Aaron. I got to go through this thing instead of
yeah,
going
Marcel.
around.
I spoke with Marcel about 4 or 5 times, and so if he had balls anything like as big as the fucking potatoes he's cooking every single day, then he would have come back for another conversation, and he would have said, "Yeah, in that last video, you twisted my melon, Aaron, because you said this and you said that. Well, fucking hell, let's have it out then. Stop
All right, let's
fucking trying."
see if we can get to the zen of AB. Here's a quote you said in one of the videos a while back. I like this. I want you to kind of expound upon this if you want.
Mm.
I'm not I'm not looking at binary. I'm not looking at math digits. I'm doing what we're supposed to be doing. I'm living. Now you said that in the middle of a video. The context wasn't even so clear, but you just sprung into that. I'm like, well, that was pretty straightforward and powerful. Do you remember? What do you have to say when you hear that? When you hear me repeat that again? I'm not looking at binary. I'm looking at math digits. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm living.
Well, I mean,
Powerful.
he says it all, you see, because look, science is so concerned with the binary facet of information. It's zeros and ones. It's opposites. It's switching. It's interchanging, and everything consists of the binary, the zeros and the ones, and they don't consider the spirit when everything is in actual fact spirit, because even their greatest of physicists, the quantum physicists, will tell them, and I've been telling them for 120 years, that there's no physical matter. So your silly binary that you always banging on about, the math and the details, it's all hypothesis. There is nothing to it at all. There's no essence to it. And so
I'm not
what is the essence of life? Being.
I don't follow baseball too much, but one of the newer things in baseball is analytics. It's come on in the past 10, 15 years where the coaching staff looks at analytics like, oh, the exit velocity of when he hits the ball and where he hits it here. And that's how they decide who to bring up into the baseball organization. Whereas back in the day, before all this overlooking of numbers and deciding this guy's going to do this and he's going to bat in this position in the lineup, because his exit velocity against lefties when it's 7 o'clock at night and humid, it goes pretty far. All this stuff, you get lost in the numbers. You get
Yeah.
lost in it. When back in the day, they just be like, this guy hits the ball freaking really hard. Let's
And
put him in the
enjoying
number.
the game.
And it's
Yeah.
ruining the game. That made me think of that. I'm thinking, so I want you to clarify only because I didn't understand it. I wanted you to clarify so we can have a jumping point. But that baseball thing is perfect because it's the same way there. You just put the guy up who hits the ball hard.
Yeah, everybody's getting lost in the data.
Does he hit the ball all the time and not swing and miss? Then put him at the top of the lineup because he'll make sure at least to put the ball into play. So anyway, that was a good one because it was so simple and but so deep that people, and especially in today's age with computers everywhere and analytics and everything, and looking at numbers of this and that to decide how to do something based on a number. We'll see it with YouTubers. They'll be like, well, this video gets 2 million views because I went in public and said I'm going to give money to a charity or this homeless person. They really didn't do it. It's probably fake. And then the videos go through the roof, so they look at that and that's what they do. And they're not being honest. They're not living honestly because they're like, I'm going to do that video because the analytics tell me that's the good one to do. And then they're not even doing anything original. Now they've become a bot, a basically automaton that's just making the video that everybody else does because they're looking
Well,
at the number, not what
everybody's
do you
just
really have to
playing.
say.
Everybody's just playing the algorithms, and that's all these videos are about. Whenever I am looking at any video, it's like they'll stop it at any random position, and they've got the like and the subscribe, because that's the important thing to them. And if you find this video, interesting, then consider being a patron, or it is their business. You see, everybody. The vast majority of people are doing the YouTube these days for business. And if they're not doing it for monetary measure, then they're doing it for emotional gain because they're insecure and they are addicted to likes and all that sort of thing. And so there is an ulterior motive. Well, I don't have an ulterior motive. I am just saying stuff what comes into my mind that I'm so inspired to say. I'm putting it out there in the raw unadulterated version. It is what it is. I'm a human being, the same as all you motherfuckers. Your shit stinks the same as every fucker else. And if you don't like me fucking and cussing this, that, and the other, then go and shrink in violet some fucking where else. Because I'm keeping it real. This is real. I'm a real human being, and there needs to be more of us. And eventually, the world will turn around, and there will be more of us again. Because it's going too superficial and it's all about the wrong reasons. I'm about imparting a message to people, what the cosmos wants me to impart. So I'm effectively doing God's work. That's how I see it. I'm doing God's work, just like Madame Blavatsky was doing God's work, or the master's work, or whoever it is, higher entities that want people to know certain things. And so, you know, that's the difference. And if people aren't strong enough, patient enough, wise enough, tolerant enough, a whole myriad of reasons why they would leave the channel, then they're not ready. They're not ready. But you see, when I know people are almost ready is when they're in conflict. When
Yeah.
they watch my videos and they don't like lots of stuff, and yet they are compelled to keep coming back, it's because they're in conflict, because their higher self is telling them, you need to listen to this guy. Where their ego is saying, I don't like how this guy says this and that. Well, you should tell the ego to shut the fuck up. Because the
Have
ego's
you
an
ever
idiot.
have you ever put a video up with the intent of going, this is I don't think you have, but I'm gonna ask, have you ever put a video up because you thought this would be what someone wanted to see? Or someone that really had a good comment earlier about a video that like you said, I'll do this one for them. Or have you say, no, I'm just gonna do this, I don't care. Because the variety is pretty crazy. The algorithm probably doesn't know what to do with you. You got Providence, you got cooking, you got that. They don't know what to do. You got Christian stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have it any other way. But have you ever made them and thought, I shouldn't have done that. That's not really what I wanted to put up. I did it for this guy or
Well,
this.
yeah. I mean, for instance, if someone says something in a comment, then I can make a whole video about that. I can
Yeah.
go, look, this person says this, that, and the other. Well, I just want to say this, that, and the other. And, and then people go, oh, well, no big deal. This person maybe didn't do this. And I went, look, it doesn't matter. If someone wants to put something down, then it is my prerogative on my channel to make a video about it if I want. And, you're watching it, so you can stop whenever you want to, you know.
But you
Um,
probably, if you did it, you probably would have wanted to do at least talk about the thing they said. You wouldn't be like, I'm not interested in that, but they want to hear it, so I'll do it. I don't think you'd do that, right? You would at least have some interest in the thing. Like if someone said, hey, I want you to do something about, egregores, you might, not want to do it, but you have something to say about it. You'd probably then do it. Like, yeah, when I
yeah,
say I might
very
want to do
often I can incorporate things
it.
like
Yeah.
that. I won't set out specifically to make
Right.
something about that. Lots of people suggest, can you do a video on this and can you do a video on that? And basically, they're saying, can you tell us everything that's in your book so I don't have to buy it? And I'm like, look, the book's 250,000 words. Um, I can skip over the top of lots of subject matter in half an hour video or something like that. But if you really want to know the information, you've got to read the book. And that's just how it is. And if you don't think that you can stretch to invest that, then I feel for you in that context. If you don't have that money, I feel for you. I mean, I don't even work, but when my book came out, I bought 10 copies straight away. And I just really do struggle with people that wouldn't buy it because they thought it was expensive. Some people say, if it's any more than £20, yeah. I'm like, it's £5 more than £20. Do you ever go to a pizza parlor and go, is £25? No, I'm not going to have it. I'll have the £20 one. No, you don't do that. You just pay whatever it fucking is,
Yeah,
and
you're
then you
right.
shit it out the next morning.
But and it's funny too because, and I'm not trying to be mean to people who watch the channel. Everyone's everybody, but you're watching this probably on like $1,000 cell phone. You're watching these videos on. The cell phones probably cost like that. These phones are not cheap. Whatever they're watching you on, where you're selling your video, selling your book through talking about it in a video, that phone costs 20 times that. And they have no problem getting a new one of those every year because they are
Yep.
getting the new one. But you get the book. Like I'm not, Rockefeller over here. I bought the book because I'm going to get something out of it greater than what the cost would be. Because anything I go and get a pizza, that comes and it's out of my system later that day. This stays with me, and it's more important than that because, but not everybody's like everybody, and I get it. But I'm a little disappointed. I did want more sales because I think what you're doing is, which is rare on YouTube, is you don't give a rat's ass. Here's what I gotta say: you're not gonna like everything, and that's life. You're not gonna like everything, and people on YouTube only want to say, "Oh, look at the best side of me here." You said
Yep.
it before, the edits and the cuts. It's like, give me a break. I turn that stuff off. The overproduced stuff. Someone said something in one of your videos a long ways back, months and months ago, about you should try better production value on your videos. And
Hmm.
that kind of spurred me in there because I'm like, wait a minute, who is he? What is he? Quentin Tarantino? He's just saying words. If you were sitting next to somebody in the park, do you want them to put on a tux to talk to you? You need better look. I don't understand. It's the words. You can do it without even. You don't even have to watch it. You could just listen.
Yeah.
You don't need production values. And I said, it's better that way. He turns the camera on, he says a bunch of shit into it, and he turns it off, and he hits upload, and he goes to fucking bed. It's over. Why does he need the production? So you can not like the video anyway, probably. You're probably
Yeah.
not gonna, you put all this effort into it. Oh, wow, 4 likes, 180 videos,
Yeah,
8 views.
exactly. And this is the mentality of most people. Yeah, well, if you do better production, if you provide better content. Look, for those that don't think that I'm providing good content, then you shouldn't be on this channel. Because this is one of the very, very few channels that does provide good content, real content that people really, really should be starting to get abreast of, because they're going to need to be centered soon, because the way the world's going, people are going to be so scattered they're going to be emotionally torn, and if they don't have a solid center to regress and regroup back within, they are going to go insane. And I can see that the world is going insane, and I can see why it's going insane, because people are so desperately looking for truth out there, but there is no out there. That's the biggest con of the
Oh, that's a
cosmos.
great way to phrase that. Out there. It's so generic too.
Yeah, there's
It's
no out
there.
there.
What does that even mean?
It's
And they'll
all
get
in
there.
here.
And then
It's
they'll get
all
there. Let's
in
say,
here.
but they'll
Yeah.
get there. They'll get out there, wherever they say that is, and they'll stay again out there. And it's like, well, where are you? You're here now. Is this there? No, it's out there. Like they don't even know what they're talking about.
No, and the vast majority of people, they're scattering all over YouTube, and they're looking for the truth. And from the very very beginning, I was even wise enough 14 years ago to say in my videos, there ain't no truth. I think my first channel was one man's quest to understand. It wasn't I'm seeking truth or anything like that. And I've always discounted the concept of truth, because I always knew there was no truth. Intuitively, instinctively, I knew there was no truth. I was 45 years old at that time. I'd been around the world, 25 fucking times, and so I hadn't found any truth on my journey. So why should it begin all of a sudden on my spiritual awakening? No truth. um, uh, and the thing is, you see, the Buddhist method is too subtle, it's too soft to grab people's attentions. My tactics are more in your face. They are more blunt, and they are more shocking. My videos are designed to shock, because people need shocking. They need their ego seriously compromising to shake them out of their somnambulism. And that's why I am saying, things in the way I do, which some people may consider to be outlandish and shocking. Because if they knew the truth, they would be shocked, they would be terrified, and they would be absolutely in awe and mesmerized every single day. Because the fact of it is that there is only a very, 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 very thin sliver of vibration which constitutes the illusion of physical matter here. And the rest of it is all spirit, non-corporeal. And the whole thing about waking up spiritually is we wake up to spirit, to our own spirit and other spirits. That's it. Period. But people are too terrified of that, because they've been so embroiled in the fiction of their ego.
What was the subtitle or the idea of the channel? You said quest to understand. Is that what?
One man's quest to understand.
One man's quest to understand. Now, so when you start these videos, I'm coming in with a clean slate. I'm going on YouTube. I'm going to start saying this. Then you get people who start watching the videos. Was there a point now they have to be influenced by, well, I'm not just out here understanding out into the void. Now there's people saying something back to me. Now that has to influence you to be like, well, they're saying this. Now I'm more like batting stuff back and forth between the viewers. It doesn't just become I'm saying this into a void. You have an audience. Now you have to speak to the audience. Was that a problem early on to be like, well, I came here just to try to understand stuff, and I set it into a video, again, into the void. People start coming en masse to follow you. Then now you have to teach. I brought that up earlier before, and you said, no, not really. But maybe touch on it a bit more, because it's fascinating that you said understand, because then you have no choice but now to say it for them, because now they're listening and they're waiting like this. Come on, Aaron, tell me more, tell me more. You become then this teacher or this prophet that you didn't even want to be.
Yeah,
Because you
well,
wanted to understand yourself.
my very first video came on the night of my first out-of-body experience. I'd been learning to leave the body for about 3 months, and I'd notched up 150 hours, because I'm very methodical and thorough about lots of things I do, and I want to know, how long it took and all the procedure. So I'd make all the videos about every single procedure that I was doing and how long it was taking, everything like that. And so on this particular night, I had this out of body experience, which was just mind blowing. And uh, I told the story, and it was in three parts. And then I don't know, that was it. As soon as I made those videos, then I was telling them about meditation, and I was meditating 5 hours a day at that particular time when I was living in Bulgaria. And I was doing all different sorts of other things, and I would just be making videos endlessly because when I was meditating, I was having downloads, and every time I came out of a meditation, then I would just turn the camera on and be speaking endlessly. So that was a gift or talent that I'd had from the very get go. It was always there. And it was just a time when the cosmos realized, hey, dude, we want you to do this now.
Hmm.
And albeit, yes, it is teaching, but it also is storytelling. It also is self discovery, it's cosmic discovery, it's all these things embroiled into one, and it's very difficult to define.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that. It's interesting because once people start watching now, what you are, even though your intent wasn't that, you are something different now. Because now there's a there's people there. Before, you could, like, if you said I'm going to go on a quest for understanding, and then you could do that alone, and you can go off. But then with viewers, it becomes, obviously a two-way street. And then I was always just wondering if you were influenced at that point on how you talked about things, but it doesn't seem like you are because you still have that attitude of like, listen, I'm going to do this. You don't want to hear it. You don't have to hear it. But I did ask a couple months back early on before you touched the meditation in here, which is great. A lot of meditation stuff in there, which I love. But I did ask for a video on meditation. You did one. That's the only thing that I wanted more of. But
I'm gonna do another one.
yeah, so
I'm
good.
gonna do another one. On
Good.
transcendental meditation.
Oh, great.
Um,
I can't wait to hear this one. Oh,
Yeah, but yeah, when we look at why people do anything, we will never ever find the fundamental root because it is so deep in human psychology. It is so deep in spirituality because when we realize that we are not the physical body, we are spirit. Well, spirit is doing stuff that we don't have any knowledge of. We are being influenced by many, many spirits all the time. And so when I do this or when I do that, when I give this delivery, when I, have supercilious or super calm hour and all these sort of things, these are energies, spirits working through me. And so I can't tell you where they come from. I'm just beginning to know that these things exist.
Do you ever feel it? Like, not, and obviously you feel it, but do you ever realize and know in the moment that's what's happening, and then you're in that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Their visceral changes in
Yeah,
disposition and energy.
yeah. I can't wait for the TM one because boy, what a scam that thing is. It's good to use, but to charge people for that is that's a whole nother thing. I don't even want to get into that. Charging
Yes.
people.
So years ago, I made videos of free transcendental meditation, and that video drew a 250,000 views before the channel was actually taken down. So I'm gonna title it the same, free transcendental meditation.
But
I'll tell people why it's uh, a very simple procedure, and the Transcendental Meditation Organization is a scam, and they are very, very wealthy, and they would be because when the average price is like 800 or 1,200 pounds for 2 half days. Most of the time, they're spent watching fucking videos.
it's a cult.
It's a con from the beginning to the end. I learned my TM meditation from the man himself. Maharishi Yogi, the
Oh,
Beatles guru, right? And I don't know whether the videos are still there. Probably are. A 2.5 minute video of this little wimpy geeky dude talking about trance and meditation. And he said basically you just shut the fuck up and you say a mantra until your mind gets tired. And I'm like, well, simple. I don't need any more information. I'm a thinking person. I can work that one out. You know, but you see, people can watch that video and still feel insecure. Oh no, there must be more to it. That's why they charge $1,500. It must be much more deeper than that. But when they get there, they'll come away, and if the truth be known, they'll feel very, very silly and very deceived because they've been ripped off. And what they do is they tell everybody not to tell the next person the mantra that they've been given.
that
Why
should
is
be a
it?
red flag.
Yeah, it should be a red flag because they're giving the mantra, mostly the same fucking mantra to everybody else. What they've got about 20 names of Hindu gods. And, they want them, to be two syllable. And so it's like Shyam, a non word. And they don't want you to tell your partner because you'll go, I've got the same fucking mantra. I've got the same
Right,
mantra. I've got the same
right.
mantra.
Got it.
They want to keep it all mysterious. But you know what? These fucking idiots, they keep it a secret and they don't tell anybody.
It's such
Fucking, they deserve to get extorted. They really do.
Rick Rubin, Rick Rubin, the producer, he's into that, the music producer, and he was doing an interview and he's like talking about TM because you notice it's always people like David Lynch or him, these like big people that are like
Yep.
pushing it. You know that's a bad sign. People with money pushing meditation, and he's like, "Oh, I gave a bunch of my friends TM for Christmas." And I'm like, how can you gift somebody meditation? Because what he did is he gave them the money to do the meditation, but it's like such an odd thing. You're giving somebody meditation as a gift with a check. Here's 5,000. Go do meditation. It's such like it's free. You just sit down and you meditate. It's incredible. The first time I saw a video on YouTube with someone doing it, this guy called Dom Dimensions did it popped up in my feed. It said TM is a scam. And I love this video because the guy just called it out. And that was the first time I saw somebody calling it out on YouTube because there's not a lot of them on YouTube calling it out, by the
No,
way. Which is
because
weird. Are they taking them down?
they take them down. My videos were taken down. They've got some clout. What they do is because they are a powerful organization, they have clout with YouTube, and they just need to write a letter. And if there's anything which could be remotely considered derogatory, they'll take the video down. So this time I have to be very careful not to be derogatory, but just to state the facts. But
Yeah,
if they
this
didn't take the video down, they can't strike me for it. They can just take it down. So I'll just put up another
right.
one.
Yeah, the Dom Dimensions, you might have to look that one up. He was
Yeah,
on
yeah. I remember watching some of his videos.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot though. He just only made like a handful, but that one was the one that popped up on my feed. I'm like, oh, I like this, calling it out because
So
it's just
we're up to 2 hours and 55 minutes now. Let's round it up on the hour.
okay.
So how do you want to finish it up? First of all, I'd like to say that it's been a great chat, Tommy. It's been a long time coming. How long have you been a viewer now? You several years.
Yeah, I saw the stuff popped up on my feed a couple years. This was a while ago, and then the channel was gone. You had, and the first thing I saw was a video of you. You had no facial hair, but the hair was longer. So we're talking maybe around I can't remember the year, but it was the video was you were on a bench, I guess, in the graveyard.
In the churchyard, yeah, the grave. That'd be about 4 years ago.
There you go. That's it. Around COVID time, old guy comes up, starts giving you
Yeah,
the business, and you. I said, this guy is something else. The guys, first of all, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, is this like because it's the first thing I saw. I'm thinking, is this like a sketch? This guy comes in, starts like berating this guy just sitting there, and then
yeah.
you called. The funniest part was you're like because you had said, now I know later, you've been to 45 countries. So you ask him, because he's been in the military, you said to him, how many videos I mean, how many countries you've been to? And he said 45, and you said, oh, me too. He's like, oh yeah, that's right. I thought it was funny because it does sound like you just said that, but it really was the exact number. So I thought that made me laugh that the guy said 45, and you're like, yeah, me too. And the old guy goes, yeah, okay, right, 45 to you. But you just kept laying into him. I said, who is this? Who is this guy, man? And he's like, this guy comes up and he starts laying into him. He's chilling back with a beer, couldn't care less. He's got his shirt off, and that was it. And then the big channel was gone soon after that, but a little later after that. But I had seen those videos. Then another channel had other videos put up with some older ones, and I caught onto those. And then your video popped up last year again randomly as a new one. So it's a wild whirlwind of how like your videos popping up around YouTube. A video of you. Uh, you were in a church graveyard and you had said something that popped up, and then I subscribed to that one. So I've come through a weird little kind of pathway to find these. First with that, and then another channel that I found when I typed, because this one's gone. I typed this in and found another channel which is still going, by the way.
Yeah.
There's a yeah another one with some other ones on there, and now this recent one. So you've kind of bopped around on the scene, but that was it right there. And I said, this guy's great. You were kind of really looking back now at the history of the videos. That was a period. Now I can look at the swath of your history. That boy, you were in rare form then. Boy, it looks like YouTube had their sights on you. They probably didn't like
Yeah.
what you were saying.
Well, when I was, I don't spend time in that graveyard anymore. I spend time in the churchyard because the churchyard nobody ever comes in, and it's all enclosed and it's much more beautiful. And so I don't get any altercations, but uh, over, let's say, about a year, maybe even no, it must have been probably over the course of a summer. So let's say 6 months. I had 4 altercations with people that just come up to me and just started to lay into me abusively. And 2 of them called the police, and the police actually came out on 2 occasions because one of them said that I was naked in the graveyard, and another one says there's an insane man in there. And they came out, and we had great conversations, and the police were very satisfied. And on one of the videos, the 2 policemen said, "Thank you for enlightening us."
Oh my God, these people are crazy. They're unreal. Oh, I'm
I,
sorry.
I sit there in my swim shorts. They're just like normal sports shorts. And I'm getting an all over tan, and I'm reading my book, having a beer, and making some videos. And people come up to me, "What you're doing is disgusting." And I'm like, "Why don't you sit down and we'll talk about this?" "I wouldn't sit
Oh
down
yeah,
with you,
of course they don't want to talk. They don't.
and I'm like, "Well, what would you mind telling me what actually is disgusting about seeing, a very fit looking, relatively young man? If you're a woman, what do you find disgusting about that?" I could have all different sorts of, strange reactions with them by just projecting back onto them what they're saying, and questioning what they mean. And then the old guy that was telling me that I'm vile and this that, and the other. He says, "My wife and my daughter are over there," and I'm like, "Whoa." Tell me where then, and I'll make sure I don't go and sit on their grave. Um, "I will never tell you where they are." And I said, "Well, I won't know then because I do go and sit on graves from time to time. Have you seen me? I'm winding him up." Okay, so his wife and his daughter's in there, and I'm sitting on the bench in my shorts. What of it? Get your head around the mentality. What of it? And then when the police came, I said, "Okay, so what's the problem, officers?" And they went, "Well, I mean, people don't expect people to be sitting in shorts, semi-naked in the graveyard." And I'm like, "Is there a law against it?" And they went, "No." And I said, so obviously you haven't got any reason to be here. And they went, absolutely. But we have to come because we were told there was a naked man here. But clearly that isn't the case. And I said, look, officers, I come here because it's peaceful. And there's no dog shit all around, because they said to me, well, you could go over on the park. And I said, do you know how many dogs shit on that park? Do you know the diseases you can get from feces? I like to walk around bare feet and I like to do yoga on the grass. I ain't doing it over there. And they went, oh, we fully understand that. And I said, well, look, there's no law, there's no rules on the council billboard in this graveyard which say you can't, be in your shorts or have your shirt off. They don't say you can't sit on the grass or do yoga on the grass. And so, nobody could say a word. And one of the main women, big bosses from the local council, she used to come into the graveyard and talk to the guys that maintain the graveyard. And she used to say, can't you tell him that he can't come in here? And they used to say, I can't tell him. I'm just a guy that works in a graveyard. And anyway, he's my mate because we always talk. And he's a very interesting guy.
It
Oh my
seems you.
God, the problems people have, but now I don't have those problems. In actual fact, just before I go, because my throat is really hoarse now.
Right.
When I was in
But it seems like you
church,
have the animal magnetism both ways. Everyone's everyone's coming at
yeah,
you.
everyone's distracted. So when I was in the churchyard, I heard the organ playing on a Sunday morning. And so after I'd done my meditation, my reading, and all that, I was walking out and I noticed that the church was still open. So I thought, I'll go in and have a look around, because it's been a long time since I've been in, and see if there's anyone there to talk to. I was hoping I was going to, have a chat with the pastor, but there was no chaplain there. But there was the organ player who was 80 years old, all in a black robe, who I thought was the pastor for a moment. And then there was a woman who did all the organizing. And she was obviously Christian. And so I started talking to them, and I engaged them in a very interesting, stimulating conversation for about half an hour. And I asked her if she had any reason why she is devoutly religious, if she had any spiritual experiences, anything like that. And she told me that she had Mother Mary visit her one day. And Mother Mary manifested as an apparition standing at the end of her bed and spoke to her. And I said, well, in that case, then that's a valid reason why you would be religious or spiritual. I've had similar sort of things. However, I'm not religious because my clinical mind, my rational mind, my philosophical mind doesn't allow me to buy all of the contradictory nonsense. And they both just looked at me as if I was blaspheming. And I said, but I'm very, very versed in the Bible, and there's lots of tenets that are positive. It's just that I'm not into the dead desert dogma, which was never aimed at the West in any case. It was a Jewish God. It was a Jewish religion. But then, of course, Christ came along and he's been westernized, and he wasn't even called Jesus. His name was Yeshua, and he most certainly wasn't white. He was, Arabic. Good God, how they perverted everything. Anyway, oh my God. This is exhausting.
Is your phone dying?
I'm not on the phone, am I?
Oh.
I'm on the computer. I'm on the laptop.
Oh, you're on the computer? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm using the phone here.
Yeah. No,
Has it been
sorry?
Has it been sounding good, the audio? I was worried about that.
Yeah. I mean, the audio sounds perfect, my end.
Perfect.
And so, yeah, great conversation. Really enjoyed that. I think the highlight of it is that you show me a scrapbook. That's amazing. There's been a manifestation from my words is now gone down into posterity of a little bit of wisdom in a book, which you'll keep till the day you die. Yeah, that's wonderful. And so, what does it say with the heart? What's all that in the heart?
Oh, this was lyrics, because I like this. It was a song by Guns N' Roses called Coma, and Axl Rose was talking about the song, how he came up with the song, and I just like this. He wrote, because he got into a fight with the girlfriend, which is what made him write the song. He said, I couldn't take it, and I just grabbed this bottle of pills in an argument and just gulped them down and ended up in the hospital. But I liked that I wasn't in the fight anymore, and I was fully conscious that I was leaving, and I liked that.
Wow.
Yeah. So he knew that, like, hey, I did all that, but then when he's like in that moment realizing, well, I'm out of that relationship now. I might be, going to slip into a coma from taking the pills, but he knew he had some consciousness where he's like, I'm out of that situation now. And that made him very peaceful. So
Yeah.
I put
Well,
that in.
the previous lead singer, did he die of overdose or something?
No, that Axl Rose was the original in Guns N' Roses. You might be
Oh,
thinking of the guy from Stone Temple Pilots who was in Velvet
yeah.
Revolver. What's his name? Scott Weiland.
No, I'm thinking about
Oh
somebody else
no.
now.
Oh, okay.
The one with the long straight hair, Miles something.
Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, Miles.
Mi-
Um,
I don't know. Wait, what
right.
group are we talking about?
Guns N' Roses.
Okay, well, Guns N' Roses. No, wait, no.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah, Axl Rose. He was
Slash.
the original. Slash, Duff McKagan, Steven Adler, Izzy Stradlin. Those were the original once
No,
they
but
made
then
it big.
the latest one, there's a guy called Miles or something Miles.
Oh, in Slash's band, he has Miles Kennedy as the singer.
Miles Kennedy, yeah.
Yeah, Miles
So
Kennedy is the
is
singer.
that not Guns N' Roses?
No, he's
Oh, right.
with Slash's band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. But Slash, he died for about 8 minutes apparently, drug
Right.
overdose. So yeah, there's a lot of this shit going on in these rock and roll
I wonder
bands.
what he saw in those 8 minutes. We'll have to talk
Y-
about that another time.
Yeah,
Something must have been very big going on when you're out for 8 minutes. They always see
yeah,
a light, but
absolutely. So,
all right.
well, yeah, continue to enjoy the book, and
I
I look
will.
forward to hearing, a few more words about that when you finished it, and we'll chat again.
Yeah.
And you did mention about having somebody else to join us, like Ziggy. Um, I wonder how that would work. Ziggy likes to talk a lot. Um, and, I do, of course, also. And so it might be difficult unless you're pretty forceful to you get a word in edgeways.
We'll just get it. We'll get one of your girl viewers to be a moderator, and she can just moderate it. You, we'll be on the outside, and you put her in the middle there on the square.
And if
Yeah,
there's
you're
any
right.
ladies, by the way, that have got this far and you want to come on and have a chat, well, just hit me up with an email.
We need that viewpoint. We need that opposite, the yin and the yang. We can't all be this masculine look at everything. We need the feminine
Yeah, yeah.
viewpoint.
I'll put the word out there. I'll make a
All
video and
right,
I'll
brother.
ask any females that want to come and mix it up with me.
All right, brother.
All
I
right.
want to thank
Well,
you for doing the chat with me. I appreciate it.
yeah, I really appreciate it too, and I appreciate you as a valued viewer. Always there with positive, meaningful comments, and so the channel needs more people like you. To be fair.
I'm just me. I appreciate that. I'm just me. I do hope you get more sales in the future. You do deserve it. Like I said, if I could say one more thing at the end, don't be scared of the size of the book, people. And it seems heavy, but it's not. It's all accessible. The heaviest part is lighter than anything in the Maps of Meaning. That's the truth. Anything. Your
Yeah.
heaviest is still lighter than that.
Yeah, and to be fair, Jordan Peterson with his brilliant brain, I took very, very little from reading it. I kept persisting, hoping that there's going to be a message in there somewhere. But you know what Peterson's like? He goes off on so many tangents, he
Yeah.
loses the plot, and you don't know where you are. And so within that letter he wrote to his father about, he thinks he's got this, he's finally, worked out like nobody else is on the planet why men do evil, and then he never actually said why it was. And I'm like, well, if he
Oh,
did say it, I missed it. But my book, yeah, there's a takeaway on every page.
yeah.
And so,
You can use it like a fortune cookie and just pull a line and you can get something from it. And you
yeah,
can
just
read for 10 minutes.
one page a day, like, what some of these books on wisdom, you do one page a day.
Right.
Um, but one day, I'm pretty sure that it will get recognition for being a very useful, concise guide to spiritual awakening, because it tells a true story of a guy that went through a lot of shit and ended up, b- pretty all right at the end of the day.
Hmm. I'll vouch
You,
for that.
and the end of the day also, um, being spiritual awoken, um, is an insular thing. It's an insular journey. It just is, because you can't derive what you need to derive from other people. They're just a distraction most of the time. Some people, interesting conversations, yeah, but like what we're having now, it's exhausting. For me in any case, because I do a lot of talking. But when I'm out walking in nature, it's just me and the cosmos. I'm connected to everything, all the wisdom of the cosmos, and the cosmos speaks to me and it tells me everything I need to know. And that really where the secret is. It's written in the Tao, the Ching, it's written in Buddhism, and it really is the true essence of what Jesus was speaking. The kingdom of God is within us all, and it is down
Mhm.
to us to seek it.
I love it. What a way to end it. Is that a
Yeah.
perfect way to end it?
Have a great day, Tommy.
All right, you too. Thanks for the chat, Aaron.
Cheers, bud.